Welcome to Back of the Rack, Status Check, a video podcast about two best friends talking about anything and everything under the sun. This series serves as a way for us to connect and discuss current games, events, different hobbies, and any questions we have about the greatest game of all time, life. I'm Sondi, and here with me is Bendez. How you doing today, man?
Well, you know, in Arizona, we're dealing with 110 degree dry heat, so it's fucking hot, dude.
That's actually disgusting.
It's so fucking hot. Like I've lived here for the entirety of my life, and I just feel like I'm just all of a sudden not acclimated. I'm just like, whoa, this is way hotter than I fucking remember. But it's always been around this, like from like 100 to 105, and sometimes it'll be like 109, 110. Phoenix is hotter. Luckily, we're south of Phoenix, so we're closer to Mexico.
Because it's like 85 degrees here, and I'm like, yo, it's a heat field. This shit is hot. Like, I'm like, fuck,
yeah.
no, I'm not getting out of the house.
And you mentioned, you know, coming over in the summer, and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you might not want to, because we won't be able to do much outdoors. We'll fucking fry. Like, we can't do anything at all.
So like 90, 100 degree days, that's like common June, July weather out there, right?
Yeah. If anything, you'd maybe want to come in April. Latest is April. But once it starts hitting May, that shit ramps up.
Oof.
And you might not be able to tolerate. Like, you can't do anything outside. Like, you cannot, unless, I mean, people do, but it's just so fucking, you're sweating. I mean, you're by a body of water, so you have humidity. You know, and
so it's
you're
just dry heat. I've never experienced that.
Yeah, it's like being in an oven. Like, it's just, it hurts. It kind of hurts sometimes. You're just like, fuck, this shit's hot. Yeah, like it's no joke.
Because humid hot is like, it's different. Humid hot is more like oppressive. I don't know. I've never tried dry heat, so I don't know how it feels. But like, humid heat, it could be like 70 degrees and you'll still be like, damn, it's hot as fuck, just because of the humidity of it. But I don't know, I've never experienced that. It's gonna be interesting to experience, hopefully soon.
Yeah, I prefer, I would say that I prefer like the dry heat, because like muggy humid heat, like I don't want to put on a brand like a whole new fit every time I walk out of the door because I'm just drenched.
That's why I'm wearing this white tee.
When
I went out to lunch, I had to change that shit real quick. I was like, oh nah, I'm getting pissed.
Yeah,
I gotta change that.
You definitely don't want to come here during the summer. I mean, if you have to, that's fine, but we're not gonna be doing any outdoor activities.
That was gonna be inside somewhere. Fuck that. I'm an indoor nigga. I don't care about, but bugs, they gonna fuck with me out there. Y'all got scorpions and shit? Hell nah. First scorpion I see, I'm gonna freak the fuck out, bro. I'm not gonna be able to like deal with that shit. I freak out from like spiders and like wasps still. So like I know if I see a scorpion or a tumbleweed, I'm gonna be like, ah! Oh my god! What the fuck is that?
Yeah, luckily there's not too many. Like I feel like I don't see a lot of scorpions, even in I've been here for pretty much 25 years. I don't see too many. I feel like I've seen 3 scorpions in my entire life. Yeah, and it was always from a distance. No, it depends, like, on what part of town you're living in, and like if you're like, you know, there's houses that kind of have more land around them, and so like more creatures live in that land, and so, you know, they might have like a scorpion or something in their house. But most like more urban or rural or non-rural areas don't have that many like creatures, except for you'll definitely see like maybe javelinas or snakes or coyotes. Those are more prevalent even in like busy industrial sort of areas. They don't care. They'll just be walking around. And javelinas can be dangerous, but you just don't fuck with them. You just leave them alone.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and javelinas look like they're like warthogs, but
okay, what the fuck? I thought you were talking about a snake or some shit.
No, a javelina is a fucking warthog. It's like
it's like a
pig
fucking
looking.
Okay, I thought it was like a
giant
snake, and you were like, oh yeah, it's a javelina or some shit.
No,
a snake.
No,
it's a fucking warthog, bro. What the fuck? Hell no. The worst we got out here is like a raccoon and a stray cat. But what the fuck? And maybe a skunk. We do got capybaras out here.
Well, yeah, it's like the size of a capybara. Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's not anything crazy, but yeah, it'll be cool if you. I guess we could always go to the zoo too. Wait, do they have javelinas in the zoo? No, I don't think they even do. Never mind.
Yeah, it's gonna be my luck. I'm gonna see one as soon as I get off the fucking airport. The fuck is that shit over there, bro?
Yeah. So. Yeah, oh well, let's sort of describe why we've started. Status check.
Oh yeah, this is the pilot episode. We should definitely do that.
Yep. So this came about because season 3 sort of had a delay, and we thought about how we could change and engage more people with like the normal back of the rack episodes, and I think we felt like that was I think we felt like the beginning, the intro, was sort of stopping people from actually getting to the good part of the podcast, which was what most people clicked on because the thumbnail was of the game, and so maybe like people would click on it, and then it would be just two niggas talking about javelinas.
And you getting married, bro? What's going on?
Yeah, like it was like 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes of that, and it took a while for us to get into that. So we decided, like, instead of limiting ourselves, like, hey, let's do this intro where we just talk about, bullshit. Why don't we just make a whole different, I guess, podcast or video cast that we can do monthly, and we can catch up on like the newer games we're playing, the movies that we've been seeing, any random thoughts. BOTR has like a whole focus, and then status checks has a more free flowing, like, oh hey, this
back
is that.
To the old days, the old.
Yeah.
If you're OG, then that's the best part of BOTR is when we sit here and cut this shit.
And I think there was people too that enjoyed the beginning, or maybe like my girlfriend, she liked the podcast, but she liked it more when we were just bullshitting in the beginning. Like, that was her favorite part of the podcast, when we were just like catching up, talking about personal stuff, talking about maybe current stuff, like asking each other gay ass questions. Like, that was
what's your dick size, bro?
How tall are you? Wow, you're this tall? Wow. So like,
pick me up.
And I think that's sort of where the idea came about, where I was like, there's probably a good amount of people that maybe will just like us talking, just hanging out, versus the, like the BOTR episode where it's strictly about that game, because we have now in season 3 we're introducing a scripted section where we just it's far more maybe formal, I guess you could say, but more video essay-ish.
Yeah, and people like the idea. It's grown, and this is very awkward as we try to figure this out, because for full transparency, it's been like essentially a year since we've recorded an actual episode, which is crazy to think about. But
yeah,
like,
for us,
crazy. But like, it's kind of crazy. But I like the idea of status checks because I do play a lot of games outside of BOTR on top of just life, and a lot of the times back at the rack we do get sidetracked, as you'll see with No More Heroes last episode. We just talk for like 15 minutes at the end about Mass Effect and Alpha Protocol, which we are not going to play this season, and and I didn't know how to cut it out, so I'm like, okay, that's a good conversation, but I can't just cut it out because it's not about the game. So this is a good time for us to just expunge, because when we sit here, we text chat, of course, all the time. We're texting each other all the time,
almost every day, yeah,
literally. But we don't really like video or like voice chat all the time. So this is really just us like having like a monthly like powwow of just, hey man, how are you doing? How's life? How you doing? Because it's different from text to conversation and video and all that stuff.
And then obviously, we still have our Sondi Selects, which is, more geared towards what Sondi is playing and has thoughts on. And then I'm going to be doing a Bendez Ponders, which is, similarly to what Sondi's doing. But
it was like, what's this thinking name?
Yeah, similarly. Dude, I was thinking about when we see each other in person, I'm like, am I going to call you Nolan? Or am I going to call you
bro, please call me Nolan, bro, please.
Because I was just like, it's so weird because you are like Sondi, like that's just how.
That's true.
And it's not like I'm calling you like Oh, I'm
X
not calling
Master
you like
36
yeah, like it's not some Xbox Live like fucking
gamer tag.
name.
If I told you my real name was Sondi, you would probably believe it. That's
Yeah,
the
it
beauty
feels
of
like
it.
perfectly normal. Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like maybe Bendez or Bendezer feels
But that
more
is
like
your actual name, so it kind of your name
in
is
some
Ben Desert. First and last name. Your first name is Ben, last name Desert. That is your name.
it'll be funny. Like your friends will be like, "Why is he calling you Sondi?"
No
Like
bullshit.
that's
There is people. I mean, because my rap name was my middle name and my last name, so there's people that know me just as Chris, and they'll like still to this day they'll walk up and be like, "Yo, Chris, how you doing? How you been?" And I'll be like, "You don't really know me."
yeah.
Like it's like a filter where it kind of switches up. Yeah, so please call me Nolan.
Yeah. Or I'll call you Old Man Wicker. I like that.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good
Old
one.
Man Wicker. Yeah.
Look at this married grandpa ass nigga over here. Old ass man.
So speaking of age, let's get into this real quick. So age, dude. I'm about to be 32, right?
That's not so bad.
In October. And I've been thinking a lot about how much time I've spent playing games. And I've been thinking about like the types of games that I've liked and how this is the first generation where I think people my age will still be into games. Like the previous generation, the majority of 30-year-olds weren't really into games. Like not to this level because gaming has gotten so much, has gotten so popular. So this is like the first time there'll be like a large amount of
That's true.
30-year-olds being fathers to, or I guess being gamer fathers and all this. And so I'm just thinking about, I'm like, damn, so much time spent playing games and, not like, it was cute when I was like 23 and, someone could walk in and I'm playing.
Yeah, you ain't had shit to do.
And I'm playing Persona 5. Yeah, like I don't have shit to do. But now I'm just like this appetite for like more, like I want games more catered to like a 30-year-old. You know what I mean?
Go play grand strategy games in real time.
like nigga,
Civilization 5, nigga. The fuck? It's like games for 30-year-olds. What?
Because like okay, but
what,
like
tax
so,
simulator.
So think of Persona 5, right? Who is that geared towards? Primarily, I don't want to like discredit Persona 5 or Persona 4. They're obviously like there's themes in those games I think everybody can relate to, but on the outset, right? Like on the surface, those are games for teenagers.
That's
like
a game for a demographic of 14 to 21 specifically. Yeah. Those are the people that fuck with that game the most. Like whatever Persona game you play at that age period, that's the Persona game that's your favorite, and then everything else is just I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, and this also happened with like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Oh yes, because now it's the Andrew Garfield movies that everybody's nostalgic for now.
Yeah, but not only that, like Tom Holland, the way he portrays Spider-Man is like more as a teenager, like he's making mistakes and all this, and as a 30-year-old watching that, I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? You should have learned. But maybe if I was 10 years younger or something, I'd be like, fuck yeah, he's the best Spider-Man ever because XYZ. But like
that's so mean,
I don't know.
Bro.
Yeah, so like it kind of gets into this weird like how age sort of dictates what you can relate to some degree. And I think that varies from person to person. Some people are like, oh yeah, I'm 54 and I fucking love you from Persona 4, like that's me, or like or South Scale, like there's just like a different type of person.
It is kind of daunting, especially because like there's a 5-year age gap. So he's 32, I'm 26, and it's kind of weird because at my age group, I'm like the first person in all of my friends to get married, and first people in my friends group, they have a house. Like I have kind of sort of, and I've been trying to explain this to like my sisters and everything, and like everybody else around me, because they're like, why aren't you like going to parties and why don't you like doing all this stuff? And I'm like, because I was doing that from 16 to 21. I don't have to do that no more. I got a job, I got a career, I got a house.
Yeah.
I had a dog. I have a wife. I'm chilling. Like there's nothing else for me to do. Like this collection is like my childhood of like what the fuck did I miss as a child, and
Yeah.
it makes me feel kind of awkward because like I don't have any like manly hobbies. Like I'm not out. Like I don't. Like I'm starting to work out, but I don't have. I'm not like disciplined yet in it, and
Yeah, I mean, I feel like one of the most manly things you could do is buy a house, get married,
that's true.
and
That is true.
that right there makes
That
you a
is
man.
true. No, but
I
I
would
mean,
say.
like when other people are like, "Yeah, bro, I do CrossFit and I go hunting and I fuck with the dogs and shit." Like the other day, okay, so for example, my roommate, she had a party for her birthday, and everybody was sitting there talking, and of course, any dude that comes in the house that's like it's their first time coming to a party, I'm like, hold on, follow me, and I bring them upstairs to the room and be like, with all the neon lights and shit, and I'm like, look at it, yeah, it's pretty cool, right? All right, cool. Come on, let's go downstairs. But that's me, you know what I'm saying? Like, like friends will come over and they'll be like, "Hey," and like I'm the guy in the room, just like on this couch, just like, "Oh, hey, how you doing? I'm playing
Yeah.
fucking. What's the last game I fucking played? I don't fucking know. Dark Messiah, Might and Magic.
Right.
Like, who the fuck knows what game that is? But I don't know. I feel like I would, because my girl's family, they all play video games still. Like, her uncle is like really into Warhammer 40K.
Mm-hmm.
He's the easiest if you get him for Secret Santa. Just buy Warhammer 40K stuff and you're good. Just buy some paint, buy 40K, a couple models, and he's good. And we always talk about 40K. And I know he's like a gamer, but he be trying to cap. Because during the summer, we were playing Street Fighter 4 at the beach house. And they had a bunch of, they had a 360 there with a bunch of games. So I was like, oh shit, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 6 is about to come out. And I'm playing Street Fighter 4. He comes over, grabs the sticks, he's doing full combos. I'm like, hold on. This is back to the arcade days. I got to actually play against him. So, I mean, it's going to come with age. But see, back in the day, gaming was different. Like, once you hit 21, if you were still playing games, they were like, ugh. Go to the club, bro. What are you doing?
Yeah, and I mean, we're both, in very obviously you're married, and I'm in a very serious relationship, so our partners are very accepting of our hobbies. But like, there was a time where if you were playing games, like your girl probably hated that you did that. Like it was a conflict of interest. Like she wants to go do this, and you're like, I want to play games, and it was like or like she never even touched games, didn't even know anything about games, didn't care to know. But now gaming is like it's exploded, especially because I mean, honestly, we can thank a little bit of that explosion to games like Fortnite, because they're free to play, giving access to so much more people, because gaming is kind of expensive. It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah, especially now, because I guess a lot of the kids that grew up, like, it's more accepting to buy microtransactions and battle passes and all that stuff. Whereas as a kid, I had to beg my mom to get like a RuneScape membership card, and she thought it was like a scam, some like Nigerian prince shit. She was like, "I'm not buying you no RuneScape card with my credit card. Hell no!" Like it was really some serious shit. Like I had to really convince my mom for that shit. Whereas now, I remember back when I was working at like GameStop, they would even have kids. But back then, it was like the Grand Theft Auto and like 2K cards.
Okay, yeah.
Kids would come in all the time and be like, "Mom, can you give me the 2K card? Can you give me the 2K card?" And that's just normal now. Like that's just how it is, because it's easier to hop on real quick, play 2 or 3 matches of Fortnite or 2K or Call of Duty or whatever your choice of live service game is, and hop off and be good.
Yeah.
It scratches that same itch. So you still feel like a gamer, but you're not really like playing Final Fantasy 16 or, you know what I'm saying? What else big came out?
Street Fighter 6 or Diablo 4. Yeah.
Or Trails of Reverie, whatever, Legend of Heroes. You're not playing nothing crazy like that. You're just playing whatever is cool. Top 5 on Twitch.
I think there's more casual players for sure that are still out there that aren't really playing Diablo 4 the way Diablo 4 players play Diablo 4.
That's for sure. I'm one of those casuals.
Like there's people that just play these games casually, but I think with turning 30, to bring it back to the age thing, I think there's something about being this age and just feeling, I guess too, like you've already sort of accomplished some things I think that are on my mind, and I'm older than you. So like, you've married your girl, you have bought a house, and I haven't done either of those. So those two things are always on my mind.
Yeah, you're
I'm just
working
like,
towards
fuck.
those goals, and
Like,
you're like, shit,
like
I
I
need to get this.
yeah, like I feel like I can't fully relax sometimes and enjoy a game because of my age, and I feel like I can't invest in a game like I want to because like I think about these things. I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm this old, and I still need to accomplish this and this, and it's just taking really long, but slow and steady sort of wins the race.
Do you
And
guys
it's
want
just like,
kids?
yeah, we do.
How many? This is a real question right here.
I think we've talked about two being the sweet spot.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't want an only child to grow up like all
Be a
fucking.
bitch ass. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Because while it does seem like, yeah, I've accomplished that. Because now that's the next thing on my mind. It's like, okay, kids. Right. Okay, after kids, then what? Because it's like, okay, I got to move into a bigger house. I got to move out. I got to. So I'm on the same wavelength as you. On top of the podcast. Because that kind of takes away a lot of your gaming time. When it's like, I could be playing this game all day today, but instead I'm gonna spend all day strictly editing and recording Xbox Live, or just doing the podcast. It's just extraneous shit like that. And I feel like, do you feel like when you become a dad that you're gonna be like, here son, play Dynasty Warriors 3?
Yeah, I think at a certain age I'll probably introduce them to certain games and like play with them. Um yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think, yeah, I don't know. It depends too on how much time I'll have, because if I'm going to have, let's say I have two kids back to back, or maybe like a year or two apart from each other or something. I feel like I'm not going to even have that much time to game on my own, let alone like gaming with my son. I might just be like, here, just play this. And then they'll probably like get into other shit and play whatever they want. Yeah. And then who knows what gaming will look like in, I don't know,
years.
5-10 years.
If it'll even be physical. This might be the last of the physical right here.
Yeah. So it could be a whole different like feeling, and it could be, I think about that often, especially because like, we're talking about these older games so much, but there's already like a generation and a half that's grown up on Fortnite, and that's going to be like their nostalgia, and they're going to be like,
That's true.
Like, yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of weird. And as big as gaming has become, being my age, I think you and I still, to some degree, still feel othered in some way because, like, we're still not, like, the mainstream gamers. Like, we're still, like, the niche, like, within the niche gamers. Yeah. So it's weird.
I thought about that a lot, too. Because my little cousin, she's really into like Undertale, Friday Night Funkin', Five Nights at Freddy's. Like she's really into like that weird like Homestuck, I like to call it, vibes of like games. Yeah. Deltarune, Everhood, all that shit. She is like, that's me. Minecraft, that's me. But that's not me. I've tried to play Undertale, I can't get into it. I've tried to play all those games, I just can't get into it. And I don't know how I would feel if my child is like super into insert whatever the top X game is at the time, and I'm still sitting here like I'm playing Suikoden 4 on PlayStation 2.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just feel awkward about that.
Do you ever like? I mean, 31 is still pretty young. When I hit 40 or 45 or like 50, I'm gonna be like, damn.
People start looking at you like, okay, now what's up with you?
Yeah, that's when I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna like, I really do need to appreciate like being this age a lot more. It's hard. It's harder than I thought it would be. But when you start hitting 40 and 50, like there's a whole different expectation of you, and there's also a health aspect to it. Like I think about like the hands.
Bro,
I think about like
now arthritis. I'm like, bro, I was playing, what's the last game we just played? Raccoon City, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, I was playing it, and the day after we beat the game, and we were playing multiplayer. My entire thumb was like, if I did this, I was like, ow, bro. Like I had to
Yeah.
hold my hand like this for like the whole day. That shit was crazy.
Even looking at a TV for long, like I feel like I could look at a TV all day
Yeah,
and be
like when
fine.
things flash on the screen, I have to look away now. Like, that's a little too bright. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, like my eyes get tired. Like I'm just like I need to go do something else for like 2 hours because I feel like they just feel strained, you know. So I can't imagine like, you know, when I'm 40 trying to game for longer than 2 hours.
Yeah,
You know,
because
or
I
longer.
did that yesterday. I woke up. I said, you know what? Shout out Goated Quest. I'm playing Silent Hill, and I started.
Oh wait,
at
did he put you on to
Yeah, he's going to
play?
be playing Silent Hill for the next stream.
Oh, oh
So I
shit,
was like,
nice,
all
nice.
right, bet. Yeah. So I was like, I'll play it too. I'll play along with you. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll find a good stopping point. And I started at noon. I took a break around like 3 o'clock to eat lunch and like let the dog out. And then I beat it afterwards. And I was like, I don't know if I could do that ever again in my life. Just play a game from wake up to sundown. I don't think I can do that like consistently. Like even after that, I was like, my legs hurt. I had to literally go downstairs and go work out after I beat the game. I couldn't like I was like, I've been
Yeah.
sitting here all day. I have to do something. I have to go outside. It was raining, like pouring rain. I still was like, I'll go outside. I'll check the mail. Fuck it. Gotta just get up.
No, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, and usually like Sundays, I'll reserve that day for mostly gaming. Like I won't do anything else. Like it's a day where I sort of just allow myself to just fucking play something for 6, 8 hours straight, you know. But most other days I'm like I can only play this for a little bit, if like just, and usually like now I'm just like, well, maybe the only game I play is the BOTR game, you know, and maybe I'm not gonna have,
I've been
you know.
trying my best to like get out of that because I feel that where it's like I have my boater game and then I have my off boater game,
Right.
and like there's certain games like what we're all going to talk about later. It's like there's a lot of games that come out that I'm like I want to play these, but I
Yep.
gotta play the boater game, and
Yeah.
I don't know. But the boater game I do like it because it at least gives me something that I wouldn't necessarily play like off of like a first glance, and it allows me to play that, and like I kind of have to force, I don't want to say force myself, but like I have to play it. We have to talk about it. So
Yeah, it's funny because in a very like meta way, we're gamifying playing a game because we're creating
that's true.
like an achievement or like we're creating goals, deadlines.
Yeah.
You know, we're you know like, oh, I'm gonna play this game to feel like I've accomplished something so that we can talk about it and get like, you know what I mean? It's like this
Yeah.
gamification of the whole thing.
Because my favorite
So
part about Back of the Rack is the research after we beat the game, and I do the research for the preparing for the episode. I'm like, oh, this happened. Oh, that's interesting. It's a rabbit hole that you just go down. That's so fun to do, and I love it.
Yeah, let's get into what we've been playing, and we can talk about some of the bigger releases that have come out that I've been sort of dying to talk with you about, honestly. But yeah, what have you been playing that's really that you want to talk about?
I've been playing a lot. Listen, it's been a year. I can name a lot of games, but
Yeah, you're fucking insane, dude. God damn.
let's just go off the week. Okay, so
Sure.
I decided.
Well, let's just say for the summer, like what have you
Yeah.
been playing since summer?
Other than the main Diablo, Street Fighter, Final Fantasy gauntlet, I beat Dark Messiah, Might of Magic, and Silent Hill. Those are the two games. Yeah, everything else is kind of like you put it in for a second, play it for like 5 minutes, and be like, not really good for that.
Yeah.
That was me
Yeah.
with Mafia 3. I heard the first N word, and I was like, all right, I need to come back to this later when I'm prepared.
Right. Right.
Yeah, Dark Messiah is on our list for Back of the Rack games. I think I would enjoy going back to that. But if we go back to it, I would definitely play the console version. I want to see if there's a difference between the console version. But it was a really fun game. Has a kick button.
Sorry.
Get to kick people, and they like
Yeah.
ragdoll out. That shit is so fun. And Silent Hill was the first time I ever played Silent Hill. I'm a Resident Evil kid, so I never really played Silent Hill. And
Yeah.
I might
It's
like
funny
Silent
because we're
Hill
the
more.
opposite.
Yeah, I might be on your side, bro. I think I like Silent Hill more than I like Resident Evil. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I feel like they're to me, I guess over the years I've found that they're just not the same. Like they're trying to and this could be a result of trying not to copy each other, but they're definitely trying to do different things. Like Silent Hill is never trying to be action B movie material, but Resident Evil for sure is trying to do that. Like that's the intention.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I was
And
surprised
then,
when they gave me a shotgun. I was like, "Oh, we're going there." I didn't
yeah,
think they were going to give me that in Silent Hill. I thought it was going to be all crowbars and pipes.
yeah. No, it's a very very good series and a very like it's a series that really gets in your head. I want to say like it's one that really sucks you in because you're like what the this and the music is also just like it's you just
really
can't.
good. It's
incredible.
You owe me a soda.
It's I feel like that. God, I haven't played the first Silent Hill. God, that was the first. No, the first Silent Hill was the second Silent Hill that I played. Silent Hill 2 was the first one, and then I went back to Silent Hill. And then
That's a very common like thing for a lot of people. Like everybody like that I know at least has played Silent Hill 2 or 3 and not the first one. Which is very weird to me. It's like playing Resident Evil 2 and not 1.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the same thing where like the second one improved on so many mechanics and really sharpened its design and was on a more popular console, you know.
Oh yeah, because that was straight to PlayStation 2, right?
Yeah, Silent Hill 2 was
Yeah.
only on yeah. So like yeah, more people played it and it was, you know, like word of mouth. Silent Hill, the first one, I just think there was a different appetite for that kind of stuff. Definitely a little bit clunkier from what I remember.
It was pretty chill to me. Only thing that was awkward was when, like in the beginning, trying to figure out the timing when the dogs would like pounce at you, trying to hit them with the pipe. I never got that down because I didn't want to waste ammo because I was thinking this is like Resident Evil. Little did I know they were going to give you 1,000 bullets or some shit. But yeah,
no.
It was enjoyable. It was very enjoyable. I got the bad ending, unfortunately, which I honestly like.
I feel like most people do, honestly. I feel like that's a very easy ending to get, and because
they don't tell you that you're supposed to go to your inventory, throw the liquid on the girl to like stop her from becoming a zombie. Then you're supposed to go to this whole separate section of the map that nobody fucking because the rest of the map isn't like as open as like a Resident Evil or anything like that, where you can go to a side room that has nothing to do with where you're going, but it'll have like some trinkets or some upgrades and stuff like that. Silent Hill, you just like the only place I really went into was the police station, and everywhere else I tried, it didn't really work. So I didn't know I was supposed to go to this whole separate section, have a whole separate adventure, and then come back and do the rest of the shit to get the good ending. But I like the bad ending. Him just being dead in the car at the end. It's pretty cool. It's like, yeah, that's what I expected when I started the game and he was knocked out in the car. I was like, oh, he's dead. That was my theory initially. As soon as it started up, I was like, oh, he's dead. This is purgatory. Okay, cool. I know the gist.
Yeah, I think the first game has a really good setup for what else is to come. So it's good that you played that one first. I don't know if you'll ever get to, because I mean Silent Hill 2,
it's like $1,000.
Yeah, it's expensive. Silent Hill 3 just as expensive. And then there's Silent Hill 4, which is in some way the more.
Is that the one with the girl with the blonde hair that they made the movie after? Or is that 3?
No, that's 3.
Okay.
Silent Hill 4, The Room, is actually directed by the music composer, Akira Yamaoka. Yeah.
That's very
interesting. It's scary as fuck, but it also feels like when the series starts to really change gears a little bit and try some different things.
Because there's Downpour. I do remember playing a little bit of Downpour. Is that the Wii one?
No, you're thinking of Shattered
Dimension?
Shattered Dreams.
Shattered Dreams.
Yeah,
I know there was one on Wii. I do remember playing that one. I rented that one. And
that
the motion controls, I immediately was like, Mom, we gotta go back. Nah.
Yeah, that's actually a reimagining of the first game.
Huh. Interesting.
So you should play that one just to see the comparison.
Dare I say it's
a boater. No. In the Silent Hill series, Well, I guess there was a couple that could be BOTR, but the one that was probably the most ill-received that I remember was a Silent Hill Diablo crossover type game. Not a crossover, but it was a Vita game called Silent Hill Book of Memories, and it was it's basically Diablo but Silent Hill.
I gotta write this down for later purposes.
It's like an ARPG top down bird's eye view kind of look, like Diablo, isometric in some sense.
On the Vita?
On the Vita, Book of Memories.
How do you feel about the Vita? Let's just break this down, bro, because I've been low key thinking about this a lot when it comes to just back of the rack in general. Because on our list right now, we don't have any portable titles. Like no GBA, no PSP, no nothing.
Yeah, those are kind of hard though. I think we also choose based on accessibility, and like those are like, I mean, I have a PSP where I can emulate stuff, and that's where we were playing one of our rejected titles, which was Persona, the first one.
The first Persona, yeah.
I was playing it on my PSP, but it's kind of hard. Like, there's games on there that, like, how are you gonna play them? I don't know. And then I feel like it's also a more niche audience. It even gets more niche. Nobody's gonna
look like, oh man, they're talking about Summon Night Swordcraft story. Oh, I love that. Nah, nobody's gonna do that.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's just. Maybe if we get big enough, we'll hire some other dude to do like back of the rack mobile
handheld mobiles.
Yeah, we'll have like a whole this is back of the rack handheld, back of the rack mobile, back of the rack Xbox. MMOs. Yeah, pretty much.
Nah, and then I just thought about that just because I've never had a Vita, and I had like a prime opportunity to get a Vita, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna get this shit back at GameStop, because there was like 4 or 5 people consistently that would come in that I knew were collectors. Like, they were like, oh, do you have this game coming in? I'd be like, what, bro? On Vita? Fuck no, we don't have this shit coming in. And he'd be like, can you order it for me? I'll come in, I'll pick it up. They would come in once a month, get like every Vita game that released, and be like, all right, thank you, bro, and leave.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, and I never really. I would play with the Vita at like work and be like, "This is interesting." When you had to reset them and shit, but I never was like, "I gotta pick this up." New 3DSi, I'll go get that or something. I'm not getting this shit. But it seems like an interesting console. Now that you mention it, because I didn't know that there was a Silent Hill Diablo S Vita game. That's probably like the last Silent Hill that released.
Sadly, yeah, I think so.
See, that's crazy. That's a lot of.
And then now we had that Konami Direct or whatever that showed a bunch of Silent Hill games that are going to be slated to come out. So we'll see how that goes. But
yeah, hopefully they come out pretty good. Because if they're anything like the first game, from what I've played, I have high hopes. I don't know how the rest of the series panned out, but at least from what I've played,
yeah, I feel like if you like the first one, you'll like the 2 and 3. And then you'll probably, I feel like you would like 4. 4 is a little different. 4 is, well, I'll just explain one part to you. There's like a hub world, sort of.
Huh.
It's not a hub world. It's the dude's apartment. It's called the room for a reason, because like you're in his room and he's stuck in his room. And like there's a hole in his bathroom that is sort of your like, your transit to Silent Hill.
That's your Crash Bandicoot. Which level are you going to?
Yeah. But I mean, like, you don't get to choose, but it like that's your. So every time you go in there, you're transported to a version of Silent Hill. It's also the first one that takes you away from the actual town that we see as Silent Hill in 1, 2, and 3. So in 4, instead of going to like that town, that Silent Hill, you go to different weird like these other areas that aren't like exactly in the town of Silent Hill. Like it's his own version of Silent Hill. This is where you start to get away from the idea that Silent Hill is this place and more.
Okay.
Yeah, and they start to more embrace that Silent Hill is like a psychological space for traumatic events and all this, and so you start to see that a little bit more in 4 and Homecoming and in Downpour for sure. But
I'm really interested in this series. It's really cool. I'm really fucking with it. Only thing I know is Silent Hill 3 because of the movie. That's the only thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, and the first Silent Hill movie is actually really good. It has like shot for shot some of those same shots that you've seen in Silent Hill 1.
That's
You know
actually
that
cool.
the first scene where you're walking in town and like you go down that alleyway and the
Oh, and then
camera
that
shifts
fucking
from like a
like
top down.
and
Yeah,
it's like wobbly and shit. Like
yeah,
do that.
it's
I need to rewatch the movie so I can see that and be
you,
like, oh shit.
yeah. Well, the second movie sucks ass. Don't I mean that one is
Don't watch it.
that one's fun on a weird level, but it's the first movie actually like takes a lot of visual cues from the game, but does its own thing with the story. But it's actually pretty. I like that movie a lot. It's very nostalgic. That movie used to
That's
watch it
pretty
a lot,
cool.
but yeah, it's one of my favorite series, Silent Hill. So you getting into it is pretty exciting. It's too bad it's not back of the rack enough.
And too bad it's not cheap.
Although I think the least liked is, so aside from Silent Hill Downpour or not Downpour, Silent Hill Book of Memories on the Vita, the most bolder one second to that would probably be Silent Hill Downpour, which is on the PS3. That would probably be like a good, like the worst received. You know how we do like
Yeah, like if it's part of a big series, we do like the ones that are like the fucked up ones.
yeah, the fucked up ones. And you know what? I almost want to say that Homecoming is more is more bolder because Downpour is obviously the most hated, and
But it doesn't mean it's necessarily like the worst one. I don't want to say the
right,
worst
yeah,
one, but like the worst received one.
yeah. I think Homecoming is the one that's forgotten about the most. So that one fits. I feel like in some sense our whole bolder mo.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'd have to like in season 10.
Add it to the list.
Yeah.
So
We have to be strategic now with like the games that we play. I feel like it'd be wise to be like, oh, let's release this review when Silent Hill 2 remake comes out to get more of that SEO, to get more of the algorithm.
We kind of got lucky. We're kind of getting lucky with No More Heroes because they just announced the new No More Heroes game, which is based on a villain from Travis Strikes Again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's based on the first villain from Travis Strikes Again, and then they kind of showed off another game at the end, and they were like, "Dude, what the fuck? This is the new game." And they blurred out a lot of shit, but I think that might be like a new No More Heroes game, like unrelated to the villain. I think that might be like No More Heroes 3.5 or No More Heroes 4 or whatever. Because from where No More Heroes set up, I know exactly where. Well, it tells you where it's going to go for No More Heroes 4, but
Yeah.
I think from what I saw from the inventory and the pause screen, that was probably No More Heroes 4.
So you think, is there like, I haven't seen any buzz around, like, is there...
It's because it's Grasshopper. It's not until they say, hey, No More Heroes. People are just going to be like, that's just Suda and them being fucking weird, bro.
Yeah, that fucking direct that you showed, I was like, what the fuck?
Me too. I was like, I don't know what none of this is. I had to read an article to figure out what the fuck I just looked at because I didn't know what it was.
It almost reads as like, okay, like at face value, it's basically a direct of the developer Grasshopper Manufacturer, and it's a guy and a woman, and the woman is dressed as a character.
She's just a bad girl.
Yeah, bad girl, right? She's dressed as her, but she's a bad actor.
Horrible.
And so is he. And I'm like, is that intentional? That they're
I think it might
cringy?
be intentional that
Like,
they're just being that.
Like, it's like so like, ugh. But at the same time, you could read it as like they're trying to act it out, like, seriously, but they're also just bad, Yeah. So you could read it in so many ways. I was like,
and it wasn't really even like a direct of like what they're making. It was just like, hey, we're selling a bunch of art. And like, like I know like on, forgot his name. It's going escaping me right now, but the main character designer for No More Heroes, he has a website up now where he's selling for like $400, like concept art and like sketches and shit like that from No More Heroes, all of the No More Heroes. It's kind of weird. Some of them are like, I'm not paying $400 for, like, it's literally like the circle with the cross in the middle. Like, it's not even finished. It's like, nah, bro, come on, finish that Travis sketch, bro.
Yeah, paint it up, yeah.
Speaking of favorite franchises of all time, how do you feel about all these games, man? How do you feel about Street Fighter first? Let's start there. 'Cause that's the one you've played the least.
Wait, no, I actually have like 30, 40 hours in Street Fighter.
Oh shit, bro.
Yeah.
You been playing World Tour, bro?
Yeah.
Oh shit, okay.
So okay, so what I've been playing aside from these big three, so what let's see. No, I guess that's kind of it. I don't think I've been playing anything aside from these three. Well, there's a game called Record of Lodoss War Wonder Labyrinth that I've been playing, and it's a sort of a Castlevania-esque game. It's a just 2D side scroller, pixelated, cool animation. I've been playing that because it's just like I just want something simple sometimes,
Yeah, sometimes you can just turn your brain off and just fucking go. But it's not a Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Which I feel like I haven't played a Warriors game in forever, but yeah. So I've been playing that, and that's actually pretty fun. I think I've almost beat it, but the last boss is like super annoying and hard, and I'm just like, I think I might be good, so I deleted it. I'm like, yeah, I think I've got my fair share of
what this game is trying to get out.
Yeah, I think I bought it for it was on sale, so it was like $12.99 or something like that. But it was fun. But
I don't know why I thought you were talking about Record of Agarus War.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I had to think about that. I'm like, yeah, Lodoss is a whole different series.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was like a strategy
it's a 90s
RPG
series. Yeah. I did. You know what? I will mention that I did download Spider-Man and Miles Morales because I need to play those. Those are like on my next to play.
You're trying to play them before Spider-Man 2
Spider-Man.
comes out.
Yeah. Especially the PS5 version of Spider-Man. I want to play that. I downloaded them, so I think I might jump into those. But I'll talk more about that because it kind of ties into Final Fantasy 16 in some way. But firstly, so Street Fighter that came out a little bit earlier, and
that came out the same day as Diablo, right?
Yeah, it did. I can't say that I was super excited for it. I don't typically buy fighting games like brand new. That's not something that I do. I like fighting games.
You wait for the Ultra Street Fighter 6 to come out.
Yeah.
Then you buy it.
Yeah, and even then, I never pay full price. I always wait for it to go on a sale. I've owned most of the 3D Street Fighter games. So that means not the 2D sprite ones.
You said Street Fighter EX2 on PlayStation 2. I got it right here.
I have that one by accident. But so yeah, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5. I've played all those, just not super extensively, and I'm not really good at those games. But Street Fighter 6, I like this idea that they're like, look, we need to put more in these games, which is something that I've always been frustrated with. I'm like, nigga, why are you guys why is this bare bones package of just arcade mode and versus training and online? I'm like, come on, I know there's people that don't care about anything else in their fighting games, but we're in a new age now. You can't expect that's if I'm trying to think of a good example where another genre might sell you this bare bones you like Call of Duty?
Do it a lot. Rhythm games do that a lot, where it's it's just you just press start and you just got just the songs, which granted isn't bad, but sometimes I want a story mode. There was one DDR, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was on Xbox or PlayStation 2. But it had an entire Mario Party-esque open world where you would roll dice and land on spots and you would battle other people to try to boost your dancer score and get the ranks. I thought that was really cool. That's the most I've ever played DDR, and every other rhythm game is ass.
No, yeah, actually, that reminds me. I need to send you a picture real quick here. So me and Elise went to a arcade here in town, and there was a machine that made me think of you. Let me send this picture in Discord.
He's about to show me the fucking poppin' music. Are you about to show me poppin' music? Is that what this shit is?
No, I don't even know what this is. Is this
is it a cube or is it circular?
Do you see it? And we'll show this on the screen for the actual episode.
Oh, you're playing Beat Mania.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Beat Mania. That's one of the things that I need to get. Speaking of that, that's what I need to spend my next time spending money on games. I have it. I have 3 of them on PlayStation 2, but I just don't have the controller. It's the precursor to DJ Hero, to where it's keyboard here, tap your shit, and then you scratch on this side. It's really fucking cool. Very intuitive. It's really cool, and the music's pretty good too. It's not all techno and all that bullshit.
It it made me think of you immediately, and obviously when you come to Arizona or to Tucson, we can go there. It's just like a giant arcade, 2 stories. There's like a bar. There's a bowling arena. It's like it's crazy, man.
That's pretty cool.
It's called Round 1. But anyway, so I feel like Street Fighter just needed more, and I remember playing in Street Fighter 5, like the it's kind of like a survival mode essentially. Like you just pick a character and you just like go as far as you can, and then like based on how well you did on each round, they give you points in which you can purchase health items or things like that to keep going.
Yeah,
which I liked. I'm like, okay, cool, this is fun.
There's something more, something different.
Yeah, exactly. And Injustice 2, I think really, I was like, yes, this is what I want in a fighting game, like a little bit more incentive to play. Yeah, give me yeah. Gear is always necessary, but it was like incentive to keep playing. It changed the look of your character. You could put more points, more like upgrades into a specific move that you liked a lot. Like you could really change a lot of stuff, and it made it like, I put over, I don't know, 100 hours maybe into that game since it's come out to now. Just not all at once, but I'll go back to it. Yeah,
it's still a fun little game to play from here and there.
Yeah, and I was never really into like the Mortal Kombat combat. Like the style is always a little like weird to me. It's a little slower. They look
gross.
It doesn't look as cool for some reason.
Yeah,
but
I like the story of Mortal Kombat more than I like the gameplay of Mortal Kombat. Like, I literally strictly only play it like as a single player game. I play the story mode and I go, that's it, back on the shelf.
That's it, right? Yeah, but that's cool that they include that. And Street Fighter V didn't even have a story mode. They added that later on. So I think they learned that in order for these games to have a bit of stickiness to them and to land with a bigger demographic,
you gotta put all that shit in there.
Yeah, and they did it brilliantly in Street Fighter 6, where they separated it into 3 modes. So like old heads aren't be like, oh, I gotta go play the fucking story mode to get this. Like, no, you could just jump straight into online play, start fucking niggas up, like not a problem. Or you can jump into World Tour, not even ever fucking touch.
Put like 60 hours into that, yeah. Because the Battle Hub is like the true, like, are you an old head? Do you want to just sit in a cabinet and fight the same dude for 30 rounds?
Yeah, and that's all you want. Yeah,
and it's pretty cool because they have like, there's so much content in this game, which makes it so cool for me. Like I played Captain Commando in Street Fighter 6, or like Super Puzzle Fighter, Street Fighter 2. Like they have old games in Street Fighter, which I wish they had matchmaking or like online co-op for.
Oh,
but they don't, which is kind of ugly. But I understand why. But
no, yeah, it's like it's a celebration of the series. They have all this shit in there. It appeals to all fans. Like you can't like. A lot of games like will try to please everybody and fail at all of it. Like, oh, we're trying to please the online multiplayer. We want the story mode. We want But Capcom somehow was like, here's a whole fucking story mode, like open world Yakuza style, with gear, and you can you create your own character and blah blah blah.
There's progression. There's relationships and dates and story events you can do with your favorite Street Fighter.
And you can argue that some of it is a little like ham-fisted and not implemented well and could have used a bit more polish. But the fact that it's still all there, and then they have a clean ass arcade mode that also has like a really good training mode. You can learn a character, like it's
combo trials.
It's like it feels like the ultimate edition of Street Fighter 6. Like,
I've been
if there was one,
so much. It's like every time they release some new information, I was like, "This is the one, guys." And surprisingly, the Discord, they've been playing it more than me. That's
really,
like everybody was like, "Nah, we're not gonna play it. We're only gonna play it for 2 weeks, and you're gonna fucking be playing whatever else." And I was like, "Nah, bro, listen, this is the one. We're all gonna be playing this." I went to a local fighting game event to play Street Fighter 6. Yeah, last week. Yeah, I got 4th.
Oh wow, you're good.
Out of 9 people.
Oh, okay.
So, don't get it twisted. I'm not.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Like the competition's nice. The game is nice because the controls aren't like, they're not as archaic as it was before. Trying to explain it to people, like, okay, this is your light, then you got to go light, heavy into short. You don't have to explain all that to people. Now they can just push triangle. That's so cool.
No, yeah.
Like,
yeah. There's like, I mean, yeah, they added the more accessible controls like you're talking about, and it's just like a whole. It's
I love it.
like when I stood back, because I was pretty critical at the World Tour mode at first, and I was like, "What the fucking graphics? What the fuck is going on
Yeah,
here?"
like this is kind of ass when you think about it. From just like if you just got World Tour as its
Right?
own
Yeah.
game, you would be like, this shit is ass. Why?
I'm
Why
like,
would
"What
Street
the
Fighter drop this?
yeah, it doesn't make any. I'm like, this is fucking horrible, But like, if you step back, I'm like, no, this is actually a really great like a product. Like it really apply. You cover all your bases, and I hope that moving forward they can polish some things up. But like, just the core gameplay itself, not just excluding the like the battles that you have in World Tour, just the straight plain arcade mode or I guess battle hub modes, they're so polished and like clean that you can tell that they took their time with that, and it's just like a really good. I'm just like, this is
Yeah.
fucking fantastic. This is
It's
good.
just
The
it's a
$60
good package.
well spent. Yeah,
Exactly. It's a good package. And it set the precedent because with every DLC character, they're going to add them to World Tour with their own little quest line and stuff. So
oh shit, they are.
yeah. Like Rashid,
Oh,
they've
fuck.
already showed that like he's going to be in the new area, in this particular area that's going to add a little bit extra stuff and some post game content and stuff. So it's cool because if
Yeah.
you at Street Fighter started with like what 18 characters and ended with 58. So there's a lot of content that's there for the
Yeah,
future that could be
there's a lot of
there.
characters. The new characters are great. I like wow, I already forgot her name. The UFC fighter with the gladiator fucking thing.
Yes, let's go.
What's her
I
name?
knew you was my nigga. I knew. Marissa,
Why?
that's
Yeah,
my
Marissa.
main.
Oh yeah, she's good.
I
like
love
her. A
her.
lot.
I love her move set. Everything
Yeah.
about her just screams like me. I love it, bro. She's so cold.
Yeah, I've been playing as obviously, Cammy's been my main for a while. Ryu's fucking good. Everybody, it's just fun. I'm like, wow, this is like a complete, and then it looks good. It's a really good looking game, without thinking about World Tour as a whole.
Or the music.
But like,
I don't really
Yeah,
like the
or
music
the-
on this shit, bro. The music is so ass, bro.
I've been
Like, I
doing
like
this
the-
for years. There's this part where this fucking, I think it's
ass, bro.
in World Tour when you're selecting like which
That's
country
the only
to travel
song
to.
I fuck with in the entire game is the World Tour. When it first came out, I was like, oh, okay, nigga.
I've been doing this for years. That's all the part I
Gotta
remember.
get the dippity. I was like, okay, they cranking over here. Okay, they doing their thing. And then you get to the actual. I think it's just because playing Marissa for so much. Like, I finally hit platinum with Marissa, and
Oh shit. Okay.
hearing her fucking Home Depot sounding ass theme every other match is so degrading, bro. I'm like, I don't want to hear this shit like
Yeah.
ever again. It makes me think about Street Fighter 3. I mean, Third Strike specifically. It just
Okay.
has much better music. Well, even Street Fighter 4. After replaying that, it just don't hit for Street Fighter 6. I'm gonna keep it real.
There's the one song that really caught my eye that I was like, oh, this is cool. Is the one from when I think it's the state. I don't know if it's Ryu's like actual song, but it's from the Japanese stage.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's like yeah, there's a song on that I'm like, that sounds pretty badass. Like it's just like a trap Japanese style piece, but
yeah. I would
it's
like
pretty
if
good.
they went between like, because I kind of felt the motif a little bit to where like the newer cast had like the hip hop style, and the older cast had like a more electronic style to them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool, but then you hear everything else surrounding it, and you're like, because like Rashid's theme is ass. I hate that shit. Like they just released
okay.
like his theme on Twitter, and I listened to it.
Yeah.
I was like, Street
Nah.
Fighter 5's theme just it throws this shit out the water. Like this, it's not busting. But I mean, I don't really listen to Street Fighter like any sound when I play Street Fighter, so it doesn't really matter. I'm usually supposed to playing like RX Poppy or some shit in the background.
Yeah, World Tour has a good like ambient music when you're just like running around. Like the Metro City theme is like that. It's
It's a
funny
bop.
because
It's a bop.
yeah, it is, and at night too. Like those, there was something like there's something about it that felt very Back of the Rack to me. I was like, this sounds like something that we would listen to, or that we would be like this is a good song, but it's like in an older game. But obviously, this is a newer game
Yeah.
with similar sounding tracks, and I'm just like, huh, it's interesting. Like it felt very nostalgic. It felt like a PS2 or PS3 game. There's something about it that I'm like, this is kind of like nostalgic. This
I'm about to blow
World
your
Tour
mind
mode.
for a second, bro. What if I told you there's a game on the list that is exactly this 20 years ago? A popular fighting game franchise makes a single player action role playing game where you go around and hang out with all of your favorite fighters and find out they like kimchi and shit.
Virtua Fighter or something like that, right?
Yeah, Virtual Quest.
Virtual Quest, yeah.
It is this exact premise, but 20 years too early.
Oh, dude, yeah. I really like this game. I can't wait to play that if it's like similar or it has like the DNA of this. But,
yeah.
Overall, no, I think it's a great game. I think this is one of those games where I'm like, everybody should pick this up. Like, you should be able to go to a homie's house and be like, hey, Bob, put on that fucking Street Fighter 6, because it's just like, it has everything. It has everything for everybody.
And you can't even say that you some shit because you have two whole new control schemes. Like one where you don't even have to press a button. You just literally press X like Naruto Ultimate Ninja and you win. Or modern mode. So you have the accessibility of being like, oh, I know how to play Ryu on Classic, but I don't know how to play Cammy, but I want to play Cammy against you because we're just going through all the characters. You have that ability to just be like, all right, swap her to Dynamic or swap her to Modern and still feel adequate, I guess, instead of just getting your ass beat.
You know what really blew me away too?
What?
Was there being a second open world in that like Indian open world area.
That's true. Because for a second I thought I was like, oh, it's only just Metro City. Fuck.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, the rest are like little fucking dioramas of like the fucking, which are cool. I mean, they're cool looking, and I understood. I was like, well, that's fine, But when I got to India, I was like, whoa, this is a whole ass. I mean, it's not as big as Metro City, I don't think, but
it's still its own little separate area of just. And it can be expanded upon. They can add a whole new area for Akuma when he comes in. They can add a whole new area for, I don't know who else they add in. Poison, please.
I thought she was going to be in Metro City. It just, some of the characters.
Yeah, because they have some Final Fight characters. Like Carlos, they have him in there. Like, there's a couple first Final Fight characters that you're like, okay, have your own moveset and your own specific dialogue and... You're a little too fleshed out. I don't like that.
Yeah, it's like a taste. They're giving you a taste.
Yeah, like Chun-Li's little daughter, how she's like super fleshed out. I'm like, okay, you're going to be a DLC character in like 2 years. I already know.
I guess one thing I didn't like about it was when you're walking around those open worlds, how like sometimes I just want to like walk around and like, look at things, just kind of like slowly.
Fucking box heads come up and...
Dude, every area, like you just can't fucking, and they'll come
everywhere, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, can we turn this aggressiveness down? Like, I'm just trying to. You can't like.
Even when you get like a higher level, because I think I stopped playing World Tour around like level 50-ish.
Okay, close to me.
And still level 30s are like, "What's up, bro? I'm ready to fight." And you're like, "Bro, stop! I will kill you in 2 seconds. Please stop." But
and they keep coming. They
won't stop. They'll respawn.
I'm just like, holy fuck. Okay, I guess this, and then so you kind of avoid certain areas. Like there's a area in Chinatown that it's in the alleyways. Like that area is packed with a lot of cool little things, and I kind of want to explore. But I'm always fucking fighting people. I'm just like, okay, let me just get the fuck out of here.
You miss doing the little Chun-Li spin kick to go to the next building, and you fall, and the dude just hits you, and now you're fighting 7 people.
Yeah. What's crazy to me is that this game has more exploration than Final Fantasy 16.
Oof. That's a good segue.
And it also has more RPG mechanics to it than Final Fantasy 16.
Oof. It is fucked up because both of them are true. Like, I can't be mad, but you're right.
Yeah. Like,
it's true.
This is a good... Yeah, you're right. This is a perfect segue. Final Fantasy 16... is
a really good game. It's a 5 out of 5 for me, personally.
5 out of 5, you said?
5 out of 5, personally.
5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. Yeah,
I fuck with it.
Final Fantasy 16 is, I think it's everything that's wrong with gaming.
Explain yourself now.
Okay.
Explain
So
yourself
check this out.
before I go on my diatribe, bro. I need you to explain yourself.
So check this out. I think that Final Fantasy 16 suffers and is a direct result of something like The Last of Us, where story and cinematic and spectacle sort of take front row. And not to say that Last of Us has bad gameplay, because it has, really good gameplay.
But I feel like I disagree with you on this one.
but I think what it does is that it takes this formula of like, oh, all gamers want is like a really strong story and like flashy cinematics and all this, and those are good, like Asura's Wrath or like the Ninja Storm games. The story modes have really cool like flashy fight scenes. But I think what it does is that it never innovates on any of those, and then in fact I think it strips back a lot of things that could have elevated it. And so I think that people right now are really enamored with like the spectacle. Like that's all I hear. Like the story's so good, the characters. But I'm like, but that's just a movie.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like I love film, and I go to my movies to get character and story. I don't go to my movies to get gameplay. So when and to add, Final Fantasy 16 does have good gameplay, but I think it has bad pacing. Whereas I was 10 hours in, and I had this limited moveset, and it started to open up, but I was like,
I'm 10 hours in. Like in Final Fantasy 12, at 10 hours in, you're at you're with what's the bunny people? What are they called?
The Viera.
Yeah, you're in the Viera hometown.
Yeah,
you're a quarter through the game.
Yeah, and you have multiple characters with different builds. Here, you're just the one character, so it feels very like stripped back. It's not a bad game. I don't think it's a bad game, but I just feel like people are really. And I see this a lot.
Recency bias is kicking this game's ass right now, because I'm probably going to agree with you on a lot of this, because I don't think I will even, because I know New Game Plus is like Final Fantasy mode and it's harder and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever replay Final Fantasy 16 unless they drop like a DLC, because I feel complete. I don't need to play anymore. And now that you say that, it really does bring in a point, because I do say it's an almost perfect game. And the thing that I hated about the game was the world, the open world, quote unquote. I like the story. I'm okay with that. If you're gonna be a character action game, be a character action game. So I didn't mind that it didn't give a fuck about the RPG elements. Though I didn't like that I could use all my fire abilities against a firebomb, and it doesn't have like reduced, like there's no like resistances or anything like that. Like a lot of stuff that I felt like you could leave that shit in. Like even Strangers of Paradise has like resistances. Like you can leave that in. Like small stuff like that. Like if I use the ice power, I should be able to use the fire power to make people, you know what I'm saying, or the lightning power to electrocute you or some shit. I should have what's the word I'm looking for? Like Genshin Impact?
Elemental weaknesses?
Nah, like when they like connect, like you know what I'm saying, like when you throw water on a person, then you would switch to your lightning person, and it will like do a big AoE of lightning. Like I feel like that should be standard.
Oh,
you know what I'm
saying?
That
would be cool. Yeah. No, that's exactly.
Like that should be standard.
Yeah, that's something. There's something about Final Fantasy. I mean, I've only played about 15, 20. I think I'm 17 hours roughly.
You're deep in. And you're deep in. Like 20 hours is not deep, because I think I finished at like 40 hours. So you're deep in.
Yeah,
it's not like you like can't say like, oh, you only saw the first icon fight. You can't say shit. You've seen the whole game essentially.
So like and I'm kind of just like, well, it feels like this game is really a result of so many external factors. One, that so many people are so into story and characters, at the behest of something like God of War and Last of Us. Like those are award-winning games. This is like a game of the year. It's like Oscar bait, where certain movies do certain things to you
put the nail on the coffin. This is a game of the year-ified Final Fantasy. They did everything in their power from like to be not Final Fantasy 15 and 13 that they were like, okay, we got to just make a good game.
They sold their soul in a way to get some of the success. You know, not that it's a bad game. Again, it's not a bad game at all.
But you got to keep that status of being the best RPG franchise. You have to keep that status. And with 15, they didn't have that. 14, a lot of people were like, it's an MMO. I mean, it's still, you know, one of the best MMOs, but it's a hit or miss with, you know, people. We played Final Fantasy 14. We bounced right off because we were like, I'm not about to pay monthly for this. Fuck this. No, I'm good.
There's a time sink. And not only that, but I feel like this game is also just, like it could have included those elemental, you know, weaknesses. It could have done a bit more RPG-ness. It could have...
You could have allowed me to equip my party members. You could have allowed me...
Could have
not even if you didn't do that. You could have let me have the dog, at least.
Like I'm saying, I just felt like they really just scaled it back to the point that they didn't need to. You know, like they could have had... Okay, fine. Action game, that's fine, right? But then they... take out your ability to, I mean, you only get one armor set. All your armor like is like the same. So it's like, why couldn't at least like when I...
Yeah, you don't feel any difference. Every time I upgraded my armor, I never felt like I was like, wow, that's a big difference. Compared to Final Fantasy 12 or 15, when I would equip the new weapon, I would be like, wow. Other than the cosmetic, I would be like, okay, this weapon does sleep damage or some shit. Like,
so there was a lot of like, let's get rid of all this and make it as simple as possible with a good story,
especially with the assisted controls. You could have got
I don't
worse.
know. It's just, I feel like people aren't, and then people are making the argument like, oh well, every Final Fantasy is different. Every Final Fantasy, it's like no. Every Final Fantasy is different, but there is a core. There's a core to it, right? And there's a lot of game mechanics that are kept the same. And, you know, you're gonna have the leveling up. You're gonna have equipment. You're gonna have
a party. You're gonna have a little bit of building with them.
Yeah, and to say that this is like, well, you know, people are saying that it's not Final Fantasy, and then people are arguing like, well, every Final Fantasy is chained. It's like, yeah, but this Final Fantasy literally is not Final Fantasy anymore.
From a story standpoint,
right?
This is a very Final Fantasy story.
Yes.
In setting, at least, it's a very Final Fantasy. But gameplay wise, I can definitely agree with you on that. Like, even coming from somebody that just loves hack and slash games in general, it don't hit. It's not hard. Like, that's the main consensus, is that it's not hard. The parry timing is super. Like, you can literally see an attack coming and just spam R1 and you won't get hit. As long as you keep tapping that R1 button. When you get all of the abilities, it's literally just square, and then I'm going to spam my abilities, swap to the next icon, spam my abilities, swap to the next icon, spam my abilities. There's nothing really to it. It's very easy. And I had more fun experimenting and theory crafting and being like, oh, that juggles, and then if I hit him with a charge magic, he'll bounce in the air, then I can jump and I can grab him. But that's what I do in Devil May Cry, and that's why I loved it. But if I wanted to do that, I would just play Devil May Cry.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 2, or Devil May Cry as well, like the more recent one, 5, is there's so much... first off, you have 3 characters, okay? And then each character has some sick-ass, very, very different combos. And, like, they all have, like, I guess a gimmick. And you play to that. And this game, they could have done that. I'm sorry. I just feel like they really... it's just, like,
especially because half of your party is, like, just like you. They have the special magic summon abilities. So why couldn't you have let me play as Jill and she'd be more graceful and do, like, rapier stabs? Or why can't I switch to the dog real quick and do dog combos? Like, I feel like there should have been... Okay, let me ask you a question. How much did your party make an impact when you played from your time playing? Other than Torgal.
I feel like maybe there was once or twice where I might have been getting... I was getting my ass kicked, and because they were there, they were able to distract an enemy. So I was able to, like, get my own shit, like, cleared and go help them. But other than that, they were kind of like, they're whatever. They don't really do much. Jill will freeze enemies.
once,
so
you'll see the random
yeah.
ice hit like the last enemy before you can kill them. Some
Yeah.
stupid shit like that. Yeah.
But
I
like,
don't
yeah,
know.
it was, yeah. And then also, I just feel like pacing. I don't know. This is a Final Fantasy 16 game, and I feel like there could have just been so much more. Like there could have been mini games or something. Like,
Yeah, there's no mini game. There's
all
no.
all you do is fucking fight, and you don't have that many options. At least, what, 15 hours in, I feel like I don't even have that many options where I'm not already bored.
Yeah, because the thing is, once you get the rest of the powers, they're all the same. It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, do you want this giant ability or this ability? Like, because every element or whatever has this does health damage, this does break damage, this is the big move, and then this is your little utility move. But like, it's all the same shit. Like, you can flip and flop, you can miss and match, and when you master abilities, because by the end of the game, you're gonna have way more than enough skill points to master any ability that you want. You can just mix and match any of them, regardless of the thing. So it doesn't really matter. You can just do whatever you want, use whatever abilities you like the most. It doesn't punish you for specking into one particular tree. Like if I was like, I want to be only Phoenix, it doesn't punish you for that, being like, oh, well, this boss is weak to Titan. But regardless of the combat, because that at least is good. The
combat is solid.
Yeah, the main thing for me that annoyed me was the open zone. Isn't that what they called it? I do remember seeing some interviews where they were saying it was open zone and not open world.
It's definitely not open world. Yeah, no.
The open zone and the side quests. They have this ugly thing where they have like a plus marker on the side quests that give you like the important side quests that give you like unlockables. Like, oh, you do this side quest, you get a chocobo, or you do this one, you get some equipment or whatever. Like, it made the rest of the game feel like shit because I didn't want to do the rest of the side quests, because you do 2 side quests and it's like slay 3 bears in this corner of the world, talk to this lady, and then the side quest is complete. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. If I wanted to do that, I would play Final Fantasy 14.
I was playing and I was commenting to Elise that I was like, yeah, that's how you can tell this was made by the MMO devs, because some of these side quests
You're like,
are
oh,
definitely
just pick 4
MMO
flowers?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, but the story is really good, right? And I think that people are getting caught up that having a good story and solid gameplay, but I really think it is stripped back, bare bones, and this almost felt like it was a good movie, and they're like, well, let's just like put in some gameplay, I guess. And then that's it.
Like, if you were to give somebody, like, because I remember playing Final Fantasy 15 before this game, and I was like, it says as soon as you start the game, a Final Fantasy for new and old time fans. And that is the worst Final Fantasy to pick up as your first Final Fantasy. That game is not the one to pick up.
Yeah.
I would say Final Fantasy 16 is the one to pick up if you wanted to be a new Final Fantasy fan. If you never played a Final Fantasy, this is the one to play, because at least story-wise and gameplay-wise, it's not as challenging. Because sometimes, even in 12, there was a couple bosses I was like, I don't know how I'm going to beat this. I need to grind.
There was like an RPG, like there was RPG mechanics in that where you really had to sit back and think like, okay, I need to retool who's doing what and when. Vaughn
is my dragoon / thief. I need to spec him into this, and I need to go here to get this. I need to do this.
And it really made me miss RPGs playing that game, which is actually why I bought, and not that it's a really good RPG, I just kind of
wanted it.
Yeah, like I impulse bought it, but Soul Hackers 2 was like $15 on Amazon. And I was like, oh, shit.
Mad when the GameStop sale. I was thinking about that shit. I was like, I should have bought fucking Soul Hackers instead of Tales of Arise. Shit.
Oh, and honestly, I wanted to go. Okay, so check this out. So there's a couple of things I've been thinking about with Final Fantasy 16. So one, it reminded me of how I felt playing the beginning stages of Star Ocean, A Divine Hope, I think it's called.
That's the new one,
Star
right?
Ocean. Yeah. So when I first got my PS5, that was the first RPG that I got. And I played it for a little bit. And I was like, this just feels like booty. Like, it was basically, it has like the traversal feeling of Street Fighter 6, where it's just like awkward, but you're like, well, whatever, it's fine.
I'll get used to it type shit.
Yeah. But now that I look back on it, it was actually good, right? And like the combat it was a little bit light on the RPG mechanics as well. It was like really heavy into its story. And I guess you could say Tales of Arise was sort of like that, but it still had a lot more RPG-ness to it, you know?
Yeah, because even from what I've played of Divine Force with the demo, it at least had like a skill tree. You click it, had a giant thing, you can spec into it, you can spec which moves each of your party members can do. You can change to your party members.
Yes.
Like you can do a lot more.
There is exploration. You know, when you go to different areas, you do feel like you're exploring, and it's kind of worth it. There's hard to reach places, and, you know, it's clunky, but it feels... Honestly, I want to play that again. But anyways, with Final Fantasy 16, when I was playing this, I'm just like, this is beautiful, but it's all set dressing. Like, I'm going to go over here. There's going to be something I don't care about or don't need. I don't have to... I just walk over here.
I'm going to walk over here to pick up a potion, open this chest to give me 20 wormites.
Yeah, like it was I don't know. And the demo really sold me too. I was like, oh my god. I was thinking in my mind like,
this is
like,
wow, this story's when the open world hits.
And I wasn't even expecting like that much more than what Final Fantasy has offered previously. I was just expecting like, oh, there's gonna be a skill tree, you know, maybe. I mean, we already knew that we weren't gonna be able to play as other people, but I thought maybe like there'd be different armor pieces, or like I thought because they were cutting all that stuff out, that they were going to really focus on giving you a Clive that you could really customize and make him feel like this is your Clive.
Yes.
You know? And maybe not with like crazy armor pieces, because not all previous Final Fantasies haven't done like the whole like, oh,
changing everything when you change
the armor. Like exactly, like they still look the same, but I thought maybe they could lean into that. I thought there would be like some sort of give and take, you know, but instead it was all taking away.
Yeah, and the only thing that's different is your sword. And even then, depending on the cutscene, it'll go back to the basic sword.
Yeah. Yeah, the story's really good, but I think that people...
They're high. They're still high and drunk off the story. Off the story and the boss fights. Because I will say that Titan boss fight is one of the top 3 bosses I've ever seen in a game. Ashura's Wrath got the number 1, but that shit is OC, bro.
I actually was playing. I played it a couple days ago, but I haven't gotten to the Titan boss fight. But no, yeah, it's great. I think some of the boss fights are framed a little too closely, and I can't see what's going on. I don't know. If
a lot of them are like that.
I don't know if that's my old eyes, or I'm just like I don't know what's happening here.
There's a couple fights, especially towards after Titan, that I was like, I don't even know what the fuck I did, but I won.
Right.
Even the hunts, I was like, I don't know what I just fought or how it worked, but I won somehow off of just sheer willpower.
It does feel like baby's first Final Fantasy in some sense.
And character action game. It does feel like that.
Yeah. And I was even thinking like, you know, because I've been trying to think of an RPG or something to get Elise into, you know?
This would be the one if you were like, I just want to watch you play Final Fantasy. Because the story is good enough that she's like, all right, I'm in there. If she's like, forget something, it's like, who is this? You can be like, don't forget, hold touchpad. You can pull it up right there and look at it.
Right, yeah. Which is honestly the most innovative thing that game has done. And I do have to applaud the team. That's
Every game
genius.
Needs that shit because that shit
I loved it.
Perfect.
I love like just going into like who's who and the compendium or the bestiary, and you know, it's cool.
Though eventually they do add like a second person that like explains what's going on in the world right now, which I thought was weird because it's like we have a whole person that explains what was happening in the world right now, but it's like an actual person that has like a fucking diagram. It's like this person loves this person hates this person, they're connected by this. Like they have a whole like thing, like a whole person that's just dedicated to just that. Like after like the second half of the game, it's very weird.
I wonder if the development team really was like, fuck, we really want people to know what's going. Like,
it's not that hard to know what's going on because you're just watching half the game. So it's like I kind of get what's going on, but
right, that's true. There are a lot of cutscenes too.
Yeah, if you don't know what they're saying, you're going to know what they're saying. It's kind of like Game of Thrones, where like at first when you're watching it, you're like, what the fuck is a Lannister? What is all this? But the more you watch, the more you play and shit like that, you'll understand it by the time that they bring it up, and you're like, okay, that's whatever.
Yeah. So speaking of Final Fantasy 16, just to go back to Spider-Man, I was like, should I drop this and just fucking come back to it when I'm less?
Yes, drop it now. Wait for a couple patches or like a DLC or some shit to drop or whatever. pick it back up when everybody's not like, oh my god, Clive, your titties are so big,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna drop it. And again, I don't want anybody to get the impression that I don't like the game, that I think it's a bad game, that it's not a Final Fantasy game. I just really think that the praise that it's getting and all this, I think it's a little overrated. And I think that it's definitely, I think it's an imbalanced game. And I think it's also interesting because when you look at it as a product of the just game industry, when you look at games like God of War, games like The Last of Us, where it's like almost clear that they're like, okay, here's the story, make the story the focus. And even God of War is more of a Final Fantasy game.
I was about to say, as soon as you mentioned God of War, I was thinking that, like, yeah, you're right. Because I did beat God of War during the break in between BOTR seasons.
Ragnarok. Did you do Ragnarok?
I didn't beat Ragnarok, just
okay.
Just the 2018 God of War. And
yeah,
I can feel it. There's like a certain genre, like what you're saying, like this game fits in that genre of this was made specifically for the Game of the Year awards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Like, if you played it out of context, like playing God of War, I was like, I like God of War 3 better.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people are going to see with Final Fantasy 16. Because right now, everybody's like, yo, this is cool. The spectacle, everything is getting you like hype. But for the people that's going to play this 2 or 3 years down the line, they're going to be like,
right.
Whatever.
Yeah. I think really what bothers me is just the argument that, oh, every Final Fantasy has done something different. What do you mean this is not Final Fantasy? I'm just like,
but see, every Final Fantasy has still been an RPG.
Right, exactly. It's not okay.
At least mainline wise.
Like, think about Call of Duty, right?
7
if all of a sudden
has more, is the same combat, but more RPG elements. All they had to do was copy and paste.
It's just super, super, super weird, and I don't think any Final Fantasy has shifted genres. That's a whole different thing. When your Final Fantasy game, or when your franchise is shifting to a different genre, like, okay, example, we were talking about Silent Hill, right? So when Silent Hill Book of Memories, that Vita game, went from survival horror, to fucking looter, to like looter.
Fuck? This is so interesting.
Like action. Like,
I wish there was a Vita emulator.
That's different. It's so fucking different. Like, now you're just kind of using the name. Like, this could have been named something else. It could have been fucking
Final Fantasy
Icon Fantasy or something. I don't know. It could have been like a whole different game. And I think
like how Strange, that'd be like calling Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy 16 and then calling Final Fantasy Tactics Final Fantasy 8.
Right. Yes.
It's like,
exactly.
these are separate games. These are its own shit. Like, you could have like you're right. You could have called this.
It's sort of like, I don't know. There's a lot of, and especially the one of my favorite podcasts, which is HPMP. Like, they're talking about it and everyone's praising it, and I'm just like, really, you guys, the RPG people?
I'm not gonna lie, because they be pessimistic as shit, bro. I was thinking to myself at first when I was watching the pre-release, I was like, I don't know, man. They sounded like they hating.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, they right.
But like they loved it, or they are loving it, and I'm just like, you guys, how? This is not an RPG. You guys are talking about a Devil May Cry light. It's a DMC light or like.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we are about to play 2 very diverse JRPGs for Back of the Rack. Yeah, like the rest of the season is technically JRPGs.
I guess it is.
Yeah. So we're about to play like a little gauntlet of just different compared to 16.
I'm saying this right now, and I feel like I've always been on the opposite side too with Back of the Rack. I'm saying, like, essentially that Final Fantasy 16 went too far in its changes, but at the same time, I love Musashi Samurai Legends because
it went too far in its changes.
Yeah. Like, I never played the first one to begin with, so I can understand why some people like would, be like, oh, it's great, or
and I guess that's why I'm a little more appreciative of it, because I come from a more hack and slash background, and the only Final Fantasy I played before Final Fantasy 12 was the City of Final Fantasy demo, which is hack and slash essentially, which is essentially Final Fantasy 16, but 12, 20 years later. So, I mean, I guess for me, it's easier to digest because I'm not a long-standing fan. Like, I've not even played any of the turn-based Final Fantasies, so I don't really know how that works. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I've only played 12, 15, 16, 7 remake.
Final Fantasy 16 is still Final Fantasy. It's just way too stripped back. Way too simple, way too easy, way too bare bones.
Yeah, because when you play an RPG, you want to role play.
Depth. I want some depth.
Yeah, you want some systems where you can look at the screen and go, okay, if I +5 to that, okay, then we can do that. Like, you want that when you play your RPGs. You don't want to just mash the button.
Yeah, and even if they were going to lean into the DMC light of it, they really could have done more. DMC has some really interesting mechanics. They could have really, like, First off, why can't Clive have a different weapon? How cool would it have been if he had like a mace or like a fucking a spear? Why can't you switch weapons? Yeah, I love spears too.
Give me a halberd. Give me a dual sword. Wait, hold on. He does get dual swords towards the end.
Okay.
But for like one,
but that's it.
It's for only for one move.
Oh my god!
You press the move and then you get dual swords, but that's it. So I mean, a little different.
Dude, after the first 5, after the demo, probably the first 8 hours, I was like, oh, I'm kind of getting like after my second icon or my third, maybe I can't remember.
Second or third.
I was just like, this is it, huh? Fuck.
Yeah,
and that's what I was telling you, like.
That's why I was saying, like, you're good to stop it because you're right. Unless you wanted to, like, experience the rest of the story, you've played the entire game because by that time you've done hunts, right? Mm-hmm. Have you done? Yeah, you've done a hunt. You've done.
Oh wait, no, I have not done a hunt. I just got introduced to them, but I have not done one yet.
Oh well, it's not gonna be like Final Fantasy 12. I can tell you that. It's not gonna.
Imagine
be like
Final
that.
Fantasy 12 with this story though, with this production. Tell me that wouldn't be, because that story was.
That's what I was thinking when I saw Sid. When he was like, my name. When he said his name was Sid, I was like, yeah, he's giving me BOTR vibes right here.
Yeah,
like,
I thought
this is BOTR, bro. Like, this shit is cool, but it's cool because just like Sid's daughter's name in Final Fantasy 16, the game's kind of big.
Speaking of Sid, his voice actor is also in Diablo 4.
Which I didn't know until you told me just now.
Yeah. And funny enough, I heard his voice first in Diablo 4, obviously, because that game came out before. And then when I heard him as Sid in FF16, I was like, this does not fit his voice or his, like, demeanor. Because in Diablo 4, he's like this old curmudgeon kind of, like this grumpy old man. But he fucking, like, it's so different. He's like this handsome, like youngish.
I'm Sid with this deep ass voice. Whoa, this shit's crazy.
And
Every time he came on screen, I was like, damn, that nigga voice is crazy.
Yeah, super deep. And that
super
character, the character model just doesn't seem like it would have that voice to me. I don't know. Like, I don't know if you felt that way. Like, it's a good voice, right?
But I feel like it kind of fits a little bit. But I mean, to be fair, I didn't think that Clive's voice fit for a lot of it. Like, I liked his teenage voice a lot, but I didn't like his adult voice. His adult voice felt very bitch made to me. And he's like a very hard chisel, like he's killing people, bro. There's blood every scene. It's like, oh yeah, you murdered that person, and I don't really feel that vibe. But with Sid, I at least feel that vibe. Like there's one scene. You fought Garuda, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you've seen the scene where he's like, I need to find the masked person, and he's like, well, find the masked person, and if they didn't do it, then kill yourself. Like that line delivery, I was like, okay, this voice fits him now. Because at first I was thinking the same thing too. Like this is a little too deep. I don't like this.
Yeah, I think after a little bit, I definitely got used to it because he does play his voice a little bit lighter and faster than he does in Diablo 4. Who does he play Diablo? I think it's like this character. I mean, you would have already heard it if you've done the just intro. It's like
Okay,
that.
so he's like the dude with the
hermit
eye patch.
guy.
Yo, the hermit.
Yeah.
I need to. You know, it's funny. I just started a new character too, so I'm gonna see.
Yeah.
I started a barbarian just to see if it's any different, but I'm not fucking with Diablo, bro. I'm gonna keep it real with you, bro. How you feel about Final Fantasy is how I feel about Diablo. I'm not really fucking with it, bro. I got 2 characters at level 30, and I'm not fucking with it with both characters, bro. Like, it's just nothing really fits. I don't really. Let me rephrase this. I don't like the open world.
Yes, that's my probably biggest and only notable criticism is that open world for sure. And but I think just like with Final Fantasy 16, I think that there is a time and place for games. I think there's a time and place for games almost more than there are for like movies and TV shows. Like games, you really have to be in the mood for a certain type of game.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You like if you want a first person shooter or a hack and slash, like you really have to be in the mood for those. And if you're not, it's just not gonna hit. You're not gonna understand. You're gonna be like, this is just not what I want right now.
That's how I felt with Mafia 3. I got about 2 or 3 hours in, and I was like, wow, I'm having fun shooting dudes and beating people up and driving in the car, listening to them talk about, we don't like them color folk around here. Like, I like this. I'm fucking with this timepiece.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I'm going to do this for like 45 hours. And you scroll, you do the zoom out of the map, because they keep it real tight and neat in the beginning. And then you do the whole zoom out.
The fog of war, yeah.
And you're like, I got to do all this? And I did the same thing with Diablo, where I'm like, I got to do all of this?
Yeah.
Fuck no, I'm not trying to do this shit right now.
Yeah.
I think because my personal favorite action RPG is Torchlight and Fate. And both of those are very niche.
You like... Huh? Wait, Fate?
Yes, Fate. It's like that game that used to come on like computers like back in the day from like I forgot the fucking name. Tanger or whatever with like the polar bear bowling and shit.
Fate RPG.
Yeah, so the people that made Fate went on to make Torchlight. But essentially so what it was you and your pet companion, and you would have a hub world, like a hub city or whatever, and have all your vendors, your jeweler, your reforger, your transmogger, all that shit.
Yeah.
And then you would go into one dungeon, and it was randomly generated by floor. And you would go through floor, and every 10 floors or so, there would be like a boss or some shit like that. So instead of you going like, say, Diablo IV, where I have to go through this very ugly open world that's too big for its own good, and I still haven't gotten a horse yet, even though I'm level 30, like going through all that bullshit, I just go in there and then I just go back to town. And you can send your pet to town to like sell your items for you instead of you having to go back to town each time and sell. You can equip your pet. You can upgrade your character. It just felt better that I was going through like a infinite dungeon spelunkying compared to
that's cool.
I gotta go through this whole ass open world, and I just
the open
keep
world
getting drained.
Yeah, I think especially because like in the dungeons where the gameplay is like more linear and like you face like your a large amount of enemies, which sidebar, I really feel like this is Dynasty Warriors but from a different perspective.
Bro, I said the same. Bro, I said the same shit.
I was like, wait, people are talking about button mashing. Like this is kind of like
shit. But
this is Dynasty Warriors from a top view, and then like.
If you gave like one character, if you made like a Dynasty Warriors character and you had like a big ass skill tree where you could like, my level 3 skill goes and does a giant whirly world, people would fuck with Dynasty Warriors so much more. It's the same shit but just behind you instead of above you.
Yeah. And I mean, I loved it. I love that gameplay. But yeah, the open world is a little bit draining because me and Elise play, and she will fall asleep usually if we have to trek a long way. And usually you do have to, like, when it's like a main story, like you have to go from one town to like the furthest town, and that takes a lot of time and it's boring. And I'm like,
you want to do everything in between those towns. You want to be like, let me hit this dungeon real quick, or it's an event over there, I'm gonna go do that. And then the altars and the cellars, and it's so much little small stuff that you don't want to forget, that you're like, I gotta do everything. I gotta fight everything. I gotta explore every nook and cranny before I go there. I just feel drained playing it. I just can't do it. I'm level 30 and I just finished like maybe the 4th quest, like main quest.
Damn.
I haven't even gotten to Act 2. That's how bad it is, bro.
It's a good like a good, very very good podcast game.
Yes.
It's a good like take an edible and just chill game. Although you'll want to be like, it's hard to like do all your skills. Well, at least for me, when I'm like, high.
See, I'm like, different. I've been respecting like every level.
I mean like while I'm like high, like while like if I take an edible, I'm not respecting. It's so hard for me to focus on. I'm like, wait, what the fuck am I doing? I mean, like I just can't.
What is that?
Yeah, but no, yeah, I respect my characters multiple times, and I think it encourages that because of the price of respecting is so low. It's like they want you to fuck around with different builds, but yeah, it's a good podcast game, it's honestly like the story is kind of interesting to me personally.
I did fuck with the story from what I've played so far. I think I just got dark ass shit. Yeah, like that first opening like 2 hours is pretty good. Yeah, it's really good.
There's one like side mission where I don't know if you've done it, but this woman is looking for her husband, and you're like looking around for him, and it turns out he's like in the forest, and he's like chained up, and all his skin is ripped off of his body.
Oh yeah, I have done that side quest.
Yeah, and like some woman essentially like promised him, all this pleasure and pain, and he's like addicted to it, and the woman that you're helping is like crying out like, what the fuck have you done? And it was a demon obviously that influenced him or whatever, and I was like, holy shit, that's fucking dark.
Yeah,
like and there's more of that throughout the story, but Elise isn't super into like reading and stuff like that, or like sitting around.
She's a whole circle.
Yeah, she's like, come on, skip. And I'm like, damn it. I understand for sure what you feel when it comes to like that open world aspect, because I think that is its biggest weakness. And I don't know if I don't know what they were really thinking. Like, oh, players are just gonna walk for 20 minutes at a time and fight random hordes, and like there's not that much to do in between. Even if there is like a like world event, it's like one that you've already done.
Yeah, it's like the same like group of 10 or so. It doesn't feel good. Plus the classes also make and break it too, because I started as a druid and I despised the game. Even though I played it at the level 30, I was like, everything just does not feel good. Werewolf form, I respected the werebear. I didn't fuck with that. I respected the lightning. Didn't like that. Respecting the earth. I was like, I don't like any of these abilities. Every single ability I didn't feel good to use. Then I switched to rogue, and every ability feels amazing. I keep switching between melee and like ranged. I just can't decide which one to go with. Why can't they give you the horse when you get to the first main town? Just be like, by the way, like when you get like when the guy with the same voice actor, I think, when he gets on the horse and he's like, all right, I'll see you later.
He's like,
give me a horse too.
Yeah.
That'll make it so much easier to traverse this giant world. But I guess they don't want players to just like speed run, get the horse, and then just like sidetrack to this spot down here in the corner and like power level themselves up or something. But I mean, if people are going to do that, they're going to do that regardless if they have a horse.
I'm really wondering like how fast that horse goes.
You haven't gotten a horse yet?
No, dude.
What the fuck? I'm not playing this game no more.
You
haven't gotten it. You're level 50 or something.
Yeah, you don't get. I'm level 47. You don't get it till Act 4. I'm in towards the end of Act 3. I mean, you level up kind of fast, but
still, that's insane. No, they should have given it to you at like level 10 when you get like your like specialization for your class. They should have been like, by the way, here's a horse. You do your specialization, you get your horse, and then you can get the fuck.
Yeah.
But they do say that if you unlock the horse, you unlock it for all your characters. So if you start at level 1, you'll have a horse. So I guess they do mean it for real when they say, this is your first character, beat everything with your first character, and then you can just have fun with your second character. But I don't know, bro. I just have... Because I feel like if I had the horse, it would make this a lot more bearable. Because a lot of the times, I'm really like... I spec like 4 different movements. Like I have like going rogue, I have the dash, then I have concealment on R2 for the movement speed boost, and then I have fucking then I have like a dash, and like my boots give like when I like dodge, I have like a movement speed boost, and I'm just constantly like trying my hardest to make the game go by faster, because I just can't stand running forever to the next spot. It's so mind
I will
numbing.
I will say online, it could there have been people that have like sprung up, in our towns and stuff, and it does slow down. And I hope that it's not like that when we play. I hope they fix that
Yeah.
because I know because there's been people like we've been battling maybe someone out in the field, and there's other
Shit
people
just start
around us.
lagging out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I'm just like this feels so terrible. I mean, lagging doesn't feel good in any game, but especially in one like this.
Yeah,
And you're
because
just
you
like,
lag one and then your abilities pop and then it's just a bunch of explosions of bullshit that just
yeah.
happens. That's how it was
So
for me for launch. I had to stop playing during launch. Like that whole launch week. I was like, fuck this. I'm just gonna play Street Fighter, bro, because I
and
can't
you
play this
bought it.
game. Like,
Yeah, you bought it too. You you bought it early, like I did, right?
yeah, their whole early access, I could not play it because it was so laggy. Even with the
Yes.
Ethernet, they bullied me on Street Fighter to get an Ethernet cable. I bought an Ethernet cable the next day,
Oh
and
wow,
that,
really?
and that shit was still like laggy as fuck on Diablo. I don't know. I feel like that's why I
Yeah.
was saying that like people that play like action RPGs, it's kind of like Muso games. Like
Yeah.
how we play Muso games, we're like, oh, Dynasty Warriors 9 or Samurai Warriors 5 came out. I'm gonna play this for a while, max it
Yeah.
out, boom, boom, boom. People play action RPGs like that, where they're like, okay, Diablo 4, this is my only action RPG that I'm gonna play, so this is what I'm gonna play for 2-3 months in the background while I'm chilling. Like you said, watching a podcast, waiting on the homies to hop on Discord, and then we're gonna
Yeah.
play Valorant after this, or we're gonna play whatever the fuck Deep Rock Galactic, whatever the fuck your group game is. I'm gonna play this game while everybody else is waiting to play a game or something.
So you're dropping Diablo, and I'm dropping Final Fantasy 16. That's what I'm
Yep.
hearing.
But nobody's dropping Street Fighter.
No, Street Fighter is fucking.
That stays.
Yeah. All right. Fucking let's no E3 forever now. I
Yeah.
forgot about this. I didn't even think about this as a topic, but you brought it up like, oh, that's right.
There's no
There's
E3s. The E3
but
is canceled forever.
on the opposite end though.
Summer
I
Games
mean,
Fest was pretty fire.
yeah, there's Summer's game. Yeah, and then each fucking I do like that each developer or publisher has their own little thing. Like that means I can pick and choose. Like I don't care about this developer, but on Tuesday they're gonna have this, so I can jump into theirs. Like
Yeah.
Capcom has their own, and does Square Enix have one?
Yeah, Square Enix had one, Xbox, Nintendo, everybody had their own. Then there's like the Jeff Keighley, like we
Games
have our
Fest,
own
yeah.
showcase. And then there's like, oh, PC Gamer will have theirs where they showcase a bunch of indies, or like IGN will have theirs where they show a bunch of indies. So there's a bunch of like little small showcases, which I feel is nice because it showcases a lot of games that you wouldn't have necessarily have seen. Like there's a game, it's a game about, I don't want to say furries because anthropomorphic creatures, and it's
Mhm.
like welcome to Volcano High. I think that's what it's called.
Oh, the
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
yeah, with the dinosaur looking things where it's like a rock
Uh,
band. That was really cool. But if I didn't see that in one of those little indie showcases, that shit
yeah.
would have just went completely over the radar. I would have not seen that game ever. I would have just.
Dude, that game. There's another game with that kind of visual style, but it's, I mean, not
I know what you're
anthropomorphic
talking about.
creatures.
Where I think it's the same thing, like the same premise, to where it's like it's a band and they
No,
have
no,
their
no, no, no.
band drama.
So the one I'm thinking of actually came out a while ago on the PS5. It's called Season. I think Seasons. It has like the girl. She's on a bike. She has like glasses. Black girl with like poofy.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
dude.
yeah,
I've been
yeah, yeah.
really. That's a game that I've had my eye on for so long, and it just looks like I would love it, but I just haven't jumped in. Have you played it? Do you know anything about it?
Nah, I don't really. I kind of like to save myself like one artsy game a year. Like like that one big like dot hack, like that GU Reloaded. That was my
That's
that was my big RPG for the year. So
okay. Okay. Okay.
I'm not playing no more 100-hour JRPGs for the
Yeah.
rest of the year. Just like Sayonara Wild Hearts was my one artsy game this year. I'm not playing
Oh,
no more
okay.
artsy games. I wouldn't really call it artsy, but it's just different because it's less focused on like, traditional gameplay like jumping and attacking and doing all that shit. It's more story based, and
Right.
I'm not really that type of gamer when I game. I like gaming shit. I don't know what to say.
I don't. But as far as like E3, I just don't think that we're gonna miss it. Like we already, I mean, E3 has been our. I'm like they didn't have it during COVID, right? Didn't they stop and they
Yeah,
tried
I
to
think
bring it
that's when it
back and then
stopped.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't even bat an eye.
Yeah,
There's
because they're gonna let us know what games is coming out during the summer. They're gonna let us know. They're gonna have their little showcases. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm
So
okay.
we're
I
not
like the
missing anything.
new showcase where PlayStation would go, hey, September 38th, we're
Yeah,
having a showcase. I like
yeah,
that. And it's an hour. I come home. It's always at the same time. I can come up, get off work, and be like, showcase. All right, let's
yeah.
watch it. Let's see what's going on. I like that. I dig that compared to the press conference because when we did these E3 videos, like there's a good like 30 to 40 minute chunk of just like they're just talking about numbers and
Oh
console
yeah,
sales and all this other bullshit, and it's got 38 polygonal squares and this it's never been done before. It's like, all right, bro, shut the fuck up, show the games.
yeah,
I want to
yeah,
see the funny stuff, but
yeah.
they
It
can
gets
just get straight
very
to that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't have to be all performative and have. I mean, Ubisoft kind of has like the people doing like weird like
Always the Just
jokes,
Dance. Who's
and I'm
performing
just
this
like,
year for Just Dance and shit?
yeah. So they always kind of do that, but like it definitely a lot of the cringe aspect of it, the corniness, the try hard sort of aspect, the like we're cool, we're hip, we're all this. I like that that's removed from the whole E3 aspect now. So I'm
Yeah,
fine with it honestly. And
me too.
E3 still lives on. It's not like it's so E3 still lives on spiritually. Like it's just not called E3 anymore. It's there. It's just kind of more scattered, and
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that I've heard that there's a lot of people that don't like the fact that that everything is now like so scattered. That now you have Nintendo at this time, but then like 2 weeks later this one comes out, so it's all like everywhere. Capcom has theirs like so it's like not all truncated into one
yeah.
day or maybe 1 week.
But
You
that
know?
was for the time, you know what I'm saying? E3 was necessary for the time
Yeah.
because now, like you said, now Nintendo can just be like, you know what? We want to do a direct tomorrow so we can showcase Pokemon Brown and Orange or whatever the fuck. They can just
Yeah.
do that. They don't have to fucking wait for E3 to showcase it like back in the day, because E3 was for strictly magazines and publications, because the internet, like, I mean, of course the internet was there, but it's like we got to get these magazines because that's where people are going to read about E3 and everything that's shown. They got to show the websites because these people aren't going to see it. We got to showcase it for them.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't have that anymore because the developer can just straight up upload their shit to YouTube or Twitter or whatever,
Hmm.
or B, the publisher and shit like that can just drop the game. Like, how many games have come out that's been like hits, like Hi-Fi Rush at the beginning of the year that just drop same day? Hey, boom, we got a game. Here you go, and it's a hit. They don't need to do nothing no more. Like how back in the day, and a lot of BOTR games that we've dealt with, a lot of them they had that E3 press cycle, and that's how we got most of our pre-release information about who directed, how they came up with all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
But after that, it's like you don't hear nothing, you don't see nothing, and I'm forgetting the point I'm trying to make here. But
Well,
the point is that they don't need to do that no more because of the
right.
internet's so vast that it's not
Right.
necessary no more.
COVID really changed that aspect for sure. There's no going back now. There's
Yeah.
no purpose for it.
I'll personally miss it just because it's cool. It's a giant convention, and it was always a dream of mine as a kid to be like, hey, bro, I'm going to E3. Can't do that no more, bro.
What? I also felt the same way for sure. But yeah, I mean, Summer Games Fest is like still kind of a thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and it
I
is kind
think
of annoying if I was like a journalist and I'm like, hey, like you're a squad and you're like, hey, today you're going to Sony's booth and you have to
right.
play everyone and give us a write up on it, and it's like I have to wait 4 hours to play Jack 2 on
Right.
an E3
Yeah.
press like that would be ugly as fuck compared to now where it's like I can just watch the gameplay demo that they showcased to us on a Zoom call or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. So it's just more convenient. I really don't mind, but it is kind of sad. It's E3. Let's see how long it's remembered for. You're gonna be telling your kids like, "Oh no, there used to be a whole convention called E3, son. Like there used to be a
They're gonna be
whole
like,
thing where,
shut the fuck
like
up.
really why? Why? Well, because everyone got there to get together physically, and they relayed the news through screenshots on their websites and
We had to
shitty like fucking 480p videos on,
We had to
and that's
use
what it
this
was
thing called
like.
Adobe Flash, and we had
Yeah,
to.
you gotta download the fucking video to even watch it properly. I did that with Final Fantasy 13. I remember having to download the video on my computer so that I could see it in its 480p, fucking
Glory
yeah.
240. Yeah, I did that with Def Jam Fight for New York. Like every trailer for, I went on Def Jam Fight for New York's website every fucking day for like the little character reveals of like who's the next fighter. I was like, oh my god, look, they got fucking Redman again. It's cool.
Wow, Jay-Z's DLC.
Oh, Snoop Dogg. Oh shit, bro. Look. Yeah, I was watching No Straight Road. Not No Straight Roads. No Hard Feelings. That Jennifer
right.
Lawrence movie.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that was a good segue. Look at us.
That was a good segue. You didn't even. I didn't even know. I was like, "What? Yeah, okay, keep going."
I watched that movie, No Hard Feelings, with Jennifer Lawrence, and that was a really good movie. It feels good to go to the movies and not see some shit explode. Like
Nigga,
to just watch like a comedy or like, you know what I'm saying, something where it's not like a black person dying. Like I'm so serious. Like when Marvel was at like its peak, I think the only movie that I watched that wasn't a Marvel movie was Fruitvale Station.
That's a depressing ass movie.
I'm hip. Like, like that's the last movie I could think of. Other than like, okay, I did see Get Out.
That's Ryan Coogler. Ryan Coogler too on Fruitvale Station, I think.
Yeah, I did see Get Out. I did see
all the nigga movies. All right.
No, that's it. Yeah, I just saw Get Out. I didn't see Us or Nope, and I did see Nope. I did see Nope in movies. That's it. Get Out, Nope, Fruitvale Station. I haven't seen like any other movie. I haven't gone to the movies unless it was for like.
If you liked No Hard Feelings, then you might also like what I saw recently, which is Joyride.
You know what's funny? My mom called me during the podcast because she was trying to go see Joyride.
Oh, really?
She was trying to go to the movie. She was trying to go see Mission Impossible 7. She loves all the Mission Impossibles. And I was like, Mom, I haven't watched Mission Impossible since like Mission Impossible 3. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like, well, I'll go see Joyride. I didn't know it was out. So
yeah,
if I knew that,
Joyride
I would have been like, sure, Mom.
I don't know. Like, would you sit? It's a raunchy ass movie. Like, I don't think I would want to see that with my mom.
Oh, no. Most definitely. Me and my mom, we watched Superbad together. Like, yeah, my mom, we love the raunchy comedies. We love those shits. And No Hard Feelings is pretty raunchy, too. It was a very raunchy comedy, too, I would say.
That's true. Yeah. I haven't seen No Hard Feelings, but yeah, it did seem that way. Okay. Well, then, I guess you would like it. I don't know. It was... Yeah, so No Hard Feelings is...
It's, yeah. You talking about Joyride?
Yeah, Joyride. Yeah,
I'm going to be like, how the fuck you see it?
No. I wanted to see No Hard Feelings, but yeah, I didn't. So me and Elise are doing this AMC A-listers thing.
Oh, you got the A-listers. That's what me and Devin have. We have the A-listers, but we never go to the movies because she works. So
yeah, no, we got it, and it's we've saved. It's already paid for itself at least for like 3 months because like we've watched 6-7 movies already, which would have cost us upwards to $100 at some point, because we watch. I usually like watching movies in IMAX too.
It's discounted tickets now, right? It's not free tickets no more, right?
No, it's still free tickets. We get 3 free movies a week.
Oh, it is still like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I remember maybe she doesn't pay for the A-listers anymore, but I do remember that because I remember we was doing that for a while too, where we just back when we were young, we'd be like, fuck it, we'll go watch a movie. We would just watch whatever.
So Joyride we watched more recently, and I had seen like one trailer, and I was like, okay, so it's like the Asian Hangover, I guess. I don't know what the fuck this is, but yeah, it's I don't know. I don't want to talk too in depth about all these movies because that's a lot of time, but like, so Joyride suffers from this thing that is really just a new thing in movies, where it's like they frame this movie as like, okay, a bunch of Asian chicks are going back to the motherland to like find one of the characters' moms, and that's sort of like the main plot, I guess you could say. But like at the beginning, one of the Asian chicks is born into like a white family, and they're like sort of like in a white community, and there's this thing that's like annoying me, and I'm like this blatant disrespect for white people. And I'm just like, okay guys, like
I get it.
it's not funny to me anymore because I feel like it's not
It's
like
like, haha, white people
it's
are the devil. They're so bad.
yeah
Oh my
yeah
gosh.
it's getting to this point where it's like not it's just common now, you know, and they try to play it off like this. I'm like, I'm sorry, but it's like if you released this movie maybe 10 years ago,
That
that
would
would
have
have
been
been
fun.
like
Yeah, it's not
funny.
funny no more. It's kind of just
Yeah,
like,
but
okay,
now
I get it. Like, we hear
yeah,
that
and I'm
every
like
day. Like, oh,
exactly.
it's
I'm just like I just don't. I'm sorry.
before
So
white
there's like
people knew that white people were the devil. White people were the devil was a great joke.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, those jokes like were more hard hitting and it was funnier, but it was always gonna get old, just like black jokes get old or whatever
Yeah.
jokes. You know, it's like okay, that's not really clever or anything. Um, and yeah, that's what this movie kind of is. You know, there's like a lot of that sort of, at least like in the first act, and then after that they go to China, and then there's like a whole thing there, and gets pretty raunchy. It's kind of funny, but there's a scene. there's a scene me and Elise were talking about how like raunchy it is, right? And we're like, we're just not into that entirely. But like, I'm like, who's this for? There's a scene where the main character is having a like a threesome with like
Oh
two other
shit,
guys. Yeah.
that's
So
kind
she's
of
a
crazy. Yeah, who
so
is
she's a
that
girl,
for?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't. Is it supposed to be funny or like it's weird? Like she's having a threesome with two dudes, and it's just like kind of played sexy, but also as a joke. You know,
Yeah.
like it's
It's not like the Zendaya movie that's supposed to be coming out where you're kind of like, okay, that's kind
well,
of
this is okay. So this is another thing I brought up, and I was like, this must be like a recurring or not recurring, but a new thing because you know sexuality has been cracked wide open these days. You know, with women feeling a certain way about it, and so like now that we're seeing like a pop star, not a pop star, but like
yeah,
a
like
star like Zendaya fucking doing fuck like a threesome on like a big budget movie. It's strange. It struck me as weird.
yeah,
I feel
because
like you only
usually
see
they don't.
threesomes in like art house films. So for them to be like in a big budget comedy or a big budget like this
Yeah,
is
you're right. Because
it's
the only
strange.
movie I can think of that had like a threesome was Nymphomaniac, and the
Right.
name of the movie perceives itself.
Is
So
yeah,
you know
and
what
that
you're
is
getting into when you get in that movie.
exactly. It's like a movie about sex and like
Yeah,
those movies are wild, but also like it's also the fact that she's okay like, you know, we've seen maybe a man have a threesome or something maybe. I'm trying
yeah.
to think of examples, but like when it's a girl having a threesome,
You're kind of like,
it
whoa, this is kind of
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
It's a
yes.
little lot. It's a lot right now.
You're just like, holy
I
shit!
guess
Like it's
because
kind of
like men, that's kind of
that's the
normalized.
yeah,
But
that's like
like
what yeah,
women, when they have that, you're like, because I don't know the context of the rest of the movie, but like you
it's
are
no,
kind of
there
like,
is no
whoa.
context. It
Yeah,
just
it just
happens.
happens.
It's
Yeah,
like okay,
that's kind of how I felt in No Hard Feelings. Like there was a scene where they were skinny dipping, and these people came up and stole their clothes, and Jennifer Lawrence's character gets out of the water and beats them up, but they just for some reason decide let's just show full frontal Jennifer Lawrence. I know we've already seen it numerous times in other movies, but it just feels awkward in this movie because the rest of
mm,
the movie is like really sweet. Actually, like I
yeah,
kind of fuck with like the rest of the movie. It's from a plot standpoint, it's really good, and seeing her naked kind of did nothing for me. Like usually, like in older movies, that's when you go like, "Oh shit, look, that's her titties, bro." But
yeah,
like this movie is kind of just like, I didn't really
yeah,
need to see her naked like that because it like they put a big emphasis on like, "Hey, I'm walking up naked," and you're like, "Stop!" Like we get
right, right,
it. She could have just came up and beat their ass, and you would have been like, "Oh, okay." She beat the fuck out of him, but
yeah. So I think we're just getting older
maybe,
and more prude. Because yeah,
maybe,
when I saw that, I was like, that seems a little weird and racy. And like I've seen like the clip of that the Zendaya movie. I actually saw the trailer for that movie.
but that
Watching
seems
this
like
movie,
that's the main plot point. So for that movie, it feels a little more. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It feels more
yeah, I
like in
guess, yeah,
pace because the whole movie is about her dating both guys and like talking to them and stuff like that.
yeah,
Whereas compared to both the movies we watched, both of those scenes were kind of just there just for the movies, like the theater to be like, oh, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like if you took
I
that
don't know.
out, it wouldn't affect the plot in any way.
So yeah, so that was like the main thing I took away from them. I was like, what the fuck is like 3 women in threesomes? Like that's like the norm now. Is that a fantasy women have? Like what the?
But
I
see,
don't know.
that's
And
also the
what?
thing with you, like breaking down gender normity. If like, for example, if you were like, hey, let's have a threesome, you can't get mad if she's like, all right, I'm gonna call my homeboy Eric up. Because if you were
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm gonna call my homegirl Erica up, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you gotta have that. Like, if you're gonna do it, you gotta be
Right.
able to do both sides. You can't just be like, no, 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 it can only be with a girl. You can only be that. Like, you can't set boundaries when you're going out of your boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, I wouldn't have a threesome.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, like there men have a higher sexual drive, generally speaking, than women. That's why, like I watched what's that YouTube channel? Cut. I watched a thing about like, oh, organize who you think has had the most sex out
Oh,
of like
oh
these
yeah,
people.
the videos,
Yeah,
and it's always the gay dude that has like a
yeah, it's always
thousand
yeah,
bodies.
yeah, and that's because like they're
Yeah,
men. It's
they can
men
just,
being men, and
especially
yeah, and they're
gay
fucking
dudes, they can just fuck
yeah, they're
whoever,
horny as
bro.
fuck.
I'll
Yeah,
fucking do it at the
girl,
fucking urinal if I could. What are you talking
exactly.
about?
Yeah, like, and that's why like women just don't have that drive like that. That like they see something and they want to fuck it. Like they just
Yeah,
don't have the drive that way. So that's why it's not that it's more acceptable for men to have you know uh, threesomes
threesomes
or
or whatever.
foursomes
But
or whatever. But like women, it's sort of strange for them to all of a sudden be like, oh well now we want to do it.
yeah,
you know. But yeah, I just thought that was like just it just struck me. I was like, huh, 2 threesomes in one night that I've seen, or 2 like implied threesomes or whatever. But um, yeah. So have you seen Spider-Man Across the Universe or Across the
yes,
Spider-Verse?
yes, I have seen it, and I need to watch it again because,
Yes.
like,
Tell the audience what you fucking did. Tell them. We'll let the audience decide
listen,
if what you did is a cinema sin.
I'm not gonna lie, weed became legal here. Weed
Okay.
is legal in Maryland now. I went to the dispensary.
Mm.
I was like, hey, what can I get? All right, cool. I'm going to the movies.
Oh, wait, I thought you were drunk when you went. No, you were
No, I
high.
was high as hell, bro.
Oh fuck.
And it didn't
Okay.
help that they had the audio problems. So like the audio
Yeah,
was
you
all
couldn't.
fucked up. They didn't turn the lights off until like after the like Gwen scene. So I was like, what the fuck? And then the edible kicked in as soon as the lights came off. And I was like, what the fuck? And I fell asleep.
Oh, you fell.
I fell asleep. No, like I was up. And then I fell asleep like as soon as he got to the Spider Society. Then I woke up like towards the end of the giant kerfuffle. And then I watched the rest of the movie. And I was like, okay, so I don't know what, like, I haven't seen the major scene, like, middle part of the movie. Like, I was just like, okay, Spider Society, okay, ended the chase, and whatever the fuck happened between that. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what happened. So I have to watch it again on top of the fact that they're saying that there's different changes. And I need to hear it with the audio because the audio was, like, fucked up. Like, it was, like, only on the right side of
Mhm.
the theater. And that shit was so weird to me. And I couldn't hear anything. I literally could not understand a word that was being said. So I just looked at the pretty colors and cinematically, one of the best
I bet
movies
it.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, I bet it looks great. Fucking on gummies. Yeah, hell yeah.
The Gwen
Um,
scene between her and her dad and the watercolors, I
yeah.
was like, this is amazing.
So check this out. Well, actually, we'll let the audience decide. So, do you guys think it's acceptable or not acceptable? Do you guys think it's a good idea to go to a new movie you've never seen, drunk or high? Because in
I'm gonna
my
go with the
view,
audience and say no.
because in my view, I'm like, I would never do that for something I've never seen. Just because like I feel like it warps my whole sense of pacing and timing and like I don't get the joke sometimes or I'm laughing at different shit. Like,
Yeah,
like it could be a serious moment and because I'm like, tilted, I'm just like, this is hilarious.
yeah.
You know? So like, yeah, and a lot of people do that. Like, oh yeah, I went to go see this and they're like, but to be fair, I was also drunk.
I
I'm
could
like,
have smoked for like that type shit.
I'm like,
Nah,
why?
nah.
Like, you just ruined the whole
Yeah.
experience for yourself.
That was just
But
because
that's
it's up here. You know what I'm saying? I can
yeah,
do this shit for free now. I don't want to say for
yeah,
free. Let me rephrase that. I can do this
yeah. I was gonna
shit.
say, I'm like, wait,
I can just go to the gas station and just get the shit now, compared to
that's how it is here.
Asking Daquan, hey, let me get a tray file. Like, I don't have to do that no more. I can just go to the store and get like, let me get that one on the top shelf over there. Okay, I'll get some new stuff. Like, it's cool. It was an interesting dichotomy, but I definitely agree. I definitely won't, because I'm the same way. We're the same way when we like watching movies. I could tell where it's not just like the plot, because most people just watch movies. They're like, oh, I like the plot. We're like oh, I like the camera angles on this and the lighting on this scene and the way that the line delivery. Like, we look at movies a little more analytical, and that's kind of what I was doing, but then it just hit too hard, especially because whatever the fuck they gave me, it's not the normal dosage that a normal person should have, and that's kind of fucked up.
I have 10 milligrams. You're taking fucking 300 times that. I'm so confused.
Yeah, he gave me too much. Yeah, he gave me too much.
Yeah.
I told him I was like, I do it, but like, I'm not like that. I just do it.
What did he ask you, by the way?
He was like, do you smoke normally? And I was like, I mean, yeah, but like, I thought that meant like how normal. I guess I don't know how much normal people smoke. I mean, I smoke
like every weekend.
I'm like a weekend party type of person, day off type person. Like, you know what? It's a day off. Let's do it. But like, they made it seem like, I guess where I said a normal person, I guess he thought I meant I was out here chiefing it up.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, bro. He's like, here you go. This is the perfect one for you right here.
He didn't even tell you to like first try, because usually like they recommend with gummies, like try half.
No, he didn't even tell me that. He was like, since you're a regular, just take the whole thing. You'll be straight. Don't take more than 2. Just take one. If it don't hit, don't take another one. That's all he said to me. He didn't say cut it into quarters, do any of that other bullshit.
That is
my father-in-law had to tell me that shit. He was like, no. Don't take the whole thing. Like, I thought I went to the beach, and my father-in-law had some, and he was like, yeah, did you take one? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, good. That was a quarter. Now, tomorrow I'm going to give you a half, and then the day after I'm going to give you a full one so you can see the difference. And I was like, this is responsible. Thank you for this, Dad.
Yeah.
This is cool.
That's what I would have told you. I've been like, nah, you got to fucking increment it out.
Yeah, nah, he told me that. Insane. I popped that shit in the fucking parking lot. I was like, all right. Take one, go in here, get my popcorn, and I'll be watching Spider-Man. I was thinking this shit not going to kick in until like, it says it doesn't kick in until the 30 minutes. So I'm like, it's not going to kick in until an hour later. So the movie would be almost over. No.
Yeah.
That shit kicked in immediately.
You drove? Did you drive?
Yeah, I drove.
Damn. Were you able to like...
Yeah, I was able to. Because after I took the nap in the movie, I woke up and was like, okay. What the fuck just happened? Like, it like ended and I was like, okay, I need to focus. That was too much. Can't do this shit no more. This is a strictly Friday only. If I want to get that crazy. If I have nothing to do, then I'll do that. That's a fun time. Put it in a... What's that shit called? The wine cellar.
The gummy cellar now? But yeah, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was really good. Interesting ending. I feel like they should have advertised this as like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 2. Or, I'm sorry, Part 1. Because the way it ends, it's like...
I felt weird. I thought it was like a trailer. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, Part 2?
And then it sort of shifts and adds a whole new element to it that I felt like could have been left off until the third one, like adding his other self as the Prowler in this other universe with like braids and all this. I was like, what? So that's the new conflict? I'm like, they could have just saved that.
Yeah, you could have just kept handling with the spot, like.
Yeah, or put that. What better? They could have put that as the end credit scene.
Or maybe,
boom.
Or they could make the spot the alternate Miles, bro. That's what they could have did. That would have been crazy.
That would have been too badass.
Yeah, but see, like if his head popped out and he was like, I'm actually you. That would have been cool. Yeah. I haven't seen any other movies, though. I still haven't seen Guardians.
Fuck. Okay, we'll go through this quickly. I'm just going to give you my thoughts.
Give me your thoughts on all of the latest blockbusters because I haven't seen anything. But I can give you Secret Invasions. I can give you that. I did watch that. I did watch that yesterday. That was pretty crazy.
All right, so Transformers: Rise of the Beasts have you seen any of the other Transformers or
Yes,
Bumblebee?
yes. I've been binging them slowly. I haven't watched it because Devin hasn't watched any of the Transformers. So we've been
Okay.
binging through them all. We are on the third one now.
Okay, it gets worse from it just goes downhill from there.
I'm hip. She's been saying
Uh,
that. She's like, these movies, the first one was good, but the rest of these aren't hitting. So she's already
yeah,
hip. She's already being pessimistic. Like, this isn't making sense
you
anymore.
yeah, you could absolutely watch Transformers: Rise of the Beast because apparently it takes place before all the nonsense.
That's what I was telling her. I was like, this is a
Yeah,
whole different timeline continuity. We can just go
yeah,
in if you want. And she's like, no, I want to watch them all. So, hey, listen.
yeah. Bumblebee and this one are supposed to be like the soft reboot movies.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, they get terrible. They get really bad going forward, and they get really long too. So good
Yes.
luck with it. They're super long. But yeah, I'd recommend to go see that one. Fun, not super deep. Definitely more of a kids movie. Indiana Jones
He
and the
said,
Dial of
that's the one you
Destiny.
should have popped a gummy for.
No, I mean across. I would watch Across the Spider Verse again, like while high, because it's just a visually crazy
Engaging,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was it's funny because after seeing all these blockbusters like Guardians of the Galaxy, Flash, Spider Man, everyone like it was a full crowd of young people, annoying like teens, excited, whatever.
Yeah.
And then seeing Indiana Jones, it was just a bunch of older people. I was like, oh shit, that's right. I guess this is more of like an old person thing. Like no
Yeah.
16-year-olds is excited to see an old Indiana Jones. Like that sort
Bro,
of
I wasn't
loses its
even
purpose.
excited to grind in Fortnite to get the Indiana Jones skin, bro. I was like, if I get him, I'll get him. Like, I don't know. I don't think nobody cares about Indiana Jones. I think because it's like a bygone era. Kind of like
Yeah,
how
no,
Blade
it's
Runner was before the new movie, where it was like
yeah,
you only watch that if you fuck with old movies like Rocky and shit.
yeah. It's definitely, and then it doesn't help that he's just old. Like the main character is just older. It's hard to identify with someone who's so old. And but ultimately, it's a whatever movie. I mean, it's shot well. There's some cool like set pieces. I feel like the production design, like the sets and everything, are really cool. But you don't. I mean, you could skip it. Honestly, it was kind of it's hit or miss. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, I think you'd probably. It's not even a good send off. Like I was disappointed that it wasn't even a good send off for the character. It was like
Uh,
this is it.
oh, this
This
is
is
supposed
his
to be like the
last,
finale,
like, or at least his last movie as Indiana Jones, right?
and then they'll
Like
get whoever and reboot it or whatever and shit.
yeah, but they just didn't even like give like a good like ending. I was like, what? Okay, whatever. But
That's
so it's
kind of
kind of
lame.
yeah. So if you're into it or not, I mean they're fun adventure movies, but this one's probably not one of my favorites. Transform or I'm sorry, Flash. The Flash is fucking dookie butter.
I wanted to watch, bro. Even Devin, she was like, I know it's gonna be ass, but I just want to watch it. Please, can we go? And I'm like, sure, whenever you got time. And we just forgot.
It is. It is. No, it's not. It's not bad all the way, like through and
Honestly,
through.
I
There's
think it'll
just
probably be a pretty straight movie. I have a tolerance for like shitty movies. I feel like even the most
yeah.
shittiest of movies, I'd be like, that was fun.
It just has some really questionable decisions. The first act, there's this scene which I'm sure you've seen on Twitter, of the Flash saving a bunch of babies, and it
Oh yeah, and then
is.
they reversed it to make it look like he put the baby in the microwave.
It looks awful. I don't understand what happened. And this is the director from It. So I thought that this was gonna be like a good ass like this is gonna be a good ass movie. It's gonna be like intense. There's gonna be some good
Yeah.
shots. I don't know. And there's some like really bad CG in it. That looks like it's on. The director says it's on purpose, but there's like certain shots where it's like why would this? Why would you want this to look like that?
Yeah,
You know.
on purpose. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But once it gets to Michael Keaton and Supergirl, pretty cool. Some cool action later on. Um, some some cool fight choreographies. I really like that Supergirl. I was telling Elise, I was like, I have a crush on her. Like
That
she's
is a
cute.
she is a pretty, that's a pretty good Supergirl. Not gonna lie, because most Supergirls just like the blonde hair, blue eye,
Yeah,
prissy ass. But it's
yeah. So
cool
this
to have
was
like I'll
yeah
beat
she
your
was
ass.
yeah she was cool, and I think you'll like her. Michael Keaton was pretty fun. The movie ends just it sucks because we're kind of at this point too where like it's hard to just enjoy a standalone superhero movie. Like you want to see connections. You want
Exactly,
to
and you're
see
looking at the movie like, where are they going to go from here?
exactly,
What
and it
strings
does
are they
not.
putting out right now?
Yeah, it doesn't give you that at all. You know, it's just
I
like
like that. I like
okay,
that. I
so
dig that.
yeah, so it's very like self-contained, you could say. But also there's some moments that sort of undo the whole purpose of the Flash's like journey at the end, where it's like, wait, so then he didn't learn anything. It's kind of weird, like how it ends. You're like, okay, so this feels like a waste of time
Yeah,
in
just
some
a
sense.
one-off little. That's kind of how Black Adam felt a little bit until you get that end credit scene. But it felt like it was like, okay, this is his own little thing right here. You're
Right,
doing your thing, and that was cool with me. I was enjoying that
but
DC movies were like, I'm excited a little bit for Blue Beetle because I feel like it's going to be like its own little thing. Other than
yeah,
them mentioning like Batman or whatever in the trailer, like, I feel like it's going to be its own little romp. It looks different. It feels
yeah, it does look a
different.
little different. Yeah,
Feels more like a Marvel movie than it does a DC movie. No pun intended.
yeah, we'll see. I don't know anything about Blue Beetle aside from what I've seen of him in Injustice, and I don't like him in Injustice.
Yeah, the only thing I
So
know about him is from, is it Batman the Brave and the Bold or the Batman? One of those Batman animated series. He's
okay.
like a reoccurring. He's like his Robin essentially in that show.
Oh,
And
interesting.
he's
Okay.
like always there being Blue Beetle. And in Young Justice he's in there too. And he's pretty good. He's kind of like Beast Boy but with cooler powers.
Cooler powers. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would recommend seeing The Flash. Maybe not in theaters. It doesn't matter. They're not gonna remake any of the budget. And they're not gonna profit at all. Like they're in the hole. That movie was like I think the biggest superhero flop ever because it was so much more expensive. Is why it was a bigger flop because like
Yeah.
they just um but yeah, there's just really some questionable shit going on in that movie. And the ending, there's like this creepy like dystopian sort of thing that they do at the end, and I it just feels weird to use like to
To use
like
the
there's just
Flash
like
of all characters as that person to set that up.
well, it's like I mean, can I spoil it for you, or do you care, or do you not?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's well, it's I'll give you a component of it, so it's not completely spoiling the whole thing. There's this
Okay.
part at the very end where they revive some dead characters from DC's like film history. So like they revive like the old Supermans, and they do like CG face. They recreate them in CG. So it's like the first Superman, and then the Christopher Reeves Superman, and it looks off, and it's also like very the choice to do that. It feels so unethical, like to do that because they're dead, and they're like recreating them, and it's just like
Yeah, that does feel
this feels
weird.
odd.
Cause I did see
Yeah,
one. Is Nicholas Cage, like they had the Nicholas Cage Superman in there too, right?
yeah. They had
Yeah.
like, and it's all CG, and it just feels.
Why?
It felt
Yeah.
weird to me.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being weird.
Yeah, and it was just looked ugly too. It's just not. They're not good looking scenes. It feels very very rushed.
I want to know how
And
you feel
then
about Guardians, cause I was gonna click Guardians on Disney Plus, and my dumbass said Secret Invasion.
oh wait, is Guardians 3 on Disney Plus?
Yeah, I think so. I do, or at least they had the advertisements for it, I guess. But I was just like,
Oh,
fuck
okay,
it,
I
I'm
didn't know.
watching
Yeah,
Secret Invasions. I want to see what this shit looking like.
yeah. Guardians. Let's see. So I have an interesting relationship with those movies because I never really was
Fuck with it.
super into them. Yeah, but I felt like the third one was really strong. But there are some like really big Marvelisms where they definitely just don't take risks enough. How many times have we seen fucking a character fake die, like the fake out? In every Marvel movie, there's a moment where like you think they're gonna die, and it's like,
And then they
oh,
don't
but then they're
die.
fine,
Or
and they
they
do
appear
that
in
with
like
this.
another movie and they're like, actually, I'm good. I wasn't dead.
Yeah, and I'm just like, just don't do the fake out death if you're not gonna commit. And there's a couple of those in this movie that I feel like really would have made the movie stand out more, especially because it's like the last Guardians movie, or well,
Kind of like
the last
Chewbacca
James
and
Gunn.
what was that last Star Wars movie when Chewbacca like they thought that like Chewbacca blew up in his ship and we were like, fuck Chewbacca, and then the very
Yeah,
next scene it's like, nah, he's locked up.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. It's very similar to that. I'm just like, yeah, I can't. It feels so long ago now that I watched that movie. I should have maybe wrote down my thoughts on that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
I would say to see it definitely. Spider-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy, the the better movies, I would say. And then I've also seen an indie movie called Past Lives. Have you seen this?
I did see the trailer for it. I do want to see it.
Yeah.
I do want to see it. There's a lot of movies that I actually want to see. I think the last movie I watched was Extraction 2, other than Spider-Man on Netflix.
Oh right, yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
That was really good in terms of
Yeah.
Russo brothers. They was going off. I don't know what it is with them and Chris Hemsworth. They got a connection because that was a great action movie. But
yeah, well, they definitely know action. That's for sure.
Yeah, I haven't really been on that. Been on a very anime binge lately. I've been binging a lot of the anime that everybody's been saying, like, dude, you need to watch this anime. I've been finally watching those.
Like what?
To Your Eternity. A lot of seasonal stuff. Like I've been catching up to One Piece, like anime wise. I'm caught up manga wise, but I've been catching up anime wise, watching the latest arc in animation form before the big episode coming up soon. I started watching a little bit of Rurouni Kenshin, and then out of fucking nowhere, apparently nobody told me they were doing a remake, so I just stopped watching it. So now I'm watching the remake.
Rurouni Kenshin?
Yeah, there's a remake of that. I've been watching Foolie Cooley.
Ooh, that's
I watched the first season of Foolie Cooley.
The really original, fun.
Yeah, and now I'm about to watch the second season. Kill la Kill.
Yeah.
Vinland Saga.
Oh yeah, Vinland Saga. Do you like that?
Yeah, I would much rather enjoy it if I read it in manga form, but I'm enjoying it. I'm not really enjoying it as an anime, but I enjoyed the story at least. I finished season 1. I haven't started season 2 yet. I stopped season 1 because I was like, if I'm gonna watch season 2, I'm gonna just read the manga. I feel like the manga would make me enjoy it more.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I've been watching Berserk, the trilogy of movies.
Ooh, those are good.
Because Devin's never watched them, and I'm like, I gotta put you on game first.
Yeah, so, yeah. I've been wanting to show at least those because those are fucking insane.
Yeah.
Although they use 3D in there, and I'm just like, oh my god, this.
I don't mind it, but I mean, to be fair, listen, I have a high tolerance for jank, so.
Well, fair enough. I have the 3rd season of Attack on Titan sitting somewhere around. I think it's season 3 that I haven't finished. But I just bought the Blu-ray of it. Like I have the.
Yeah, you need to catch up, my boy. You got about T-minus 3 weeks or some shit. You gotta catch up, my boy.
But yeah, that show is obviously super amazing.
I actually started rewatching the show. Speaking of shows, I actually started rewatching the show.
I haven't gotten to the part that everyone or that you were saying was like a political, controversial kind of situation. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Once Attack on Titan says Attack on Titan final season, that's when you know. Okay, this is where people start getting a little
interesting,
a little Twitter debatey. To me personally, I think it's cool. The only thing I don't like is like one panel in the ending. Like if they just took out like one panel.
Yeah.
In the ending, the story will be like a masterpiece from start to finish. You'll see.
In the manga or in the anime?
In the manga. And that's what a lot of people's hopes are, is that in the anime, they'll just be like, we'll switch it up. We're going to switch it up a little bit. We're not going to do that. So, but I mean, I think they're going to do the same thing because they've been pretty faithful, 1-to-1 recreations. So I think they're going to just do the same thing.
I mean, the show is already fucking bonkers. Like, I just can't even. I'm just like, this is insane.
Bro, you still haven't even seen anything. That's the crazy part.
No,
Season 3, and you still haven't seen anything.
I haven't even expect like where it's gone. I'm like, I can't even.
I didn't even think we would get.
I mean, I'm not. Yeah, like I'm not one to really like predict where like like I don't watch a movie like typically. Yeah. Like typically, I'm not like, oh, that person does this. Oh yeah, it's so obvious. Like unless it's like really obvious, and that's when it's a really bad movie. But usually, I'm not trying to like predict like, well, what are they gonna do? Okay, that's okay. Yeah, like I'm not that type of nigga. But
you're just watching. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just watching and I'm really trying to be in it, and I usually am. But this show, I'm just like, I don't even know like what narrative, like what do they go? I've never seen anything like this.
What's next? What's going on? Yeah,
I'm just like, what? Okay, like yeah. So, There's that, and yeah, let's move into your big story, your fucking thing that you have here, which I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
I thought this was a very BOTR topic to talk about because the Video Game History Foundation and the Software Preservation Network published a major new study, quote unquote, that shows that 87% of classic being defined as any game that came out before 2010.
Wow.
So any game before
Okay.
2010, 87% of that, which is a lot of games, are in danger or out of print, aka you can't buy them in any way, shape, or form, physically, digitally, in anywhere. Um, and you either have to buy it like us,
Yeah.
or you have to pirate. That's the only options. And I was doing some math because I saw this article and it just got my brain just like fucking rambling. For reference, out of all of the back of the rack titles, I'm gonna break it down by season and then also do consideration. So for season 1, I did not include like PC ports because there's certain games like Alpha Protocol, for example, how we talked about that. That's not available on PC anymore. They delisted it. Or Second Sight, that was on PC, and after we dropped the episode, or like in between us like playing Second Sight, they dropped the PC port of Second Sight again on PC, but it was gone for like 15 years. Like, it's just simple shit like that. So I didn't include PC ports, but season 1, we only got Bladestorm, Final Fantasy 12, Resident Evil 6. Season 2, we only have Fatal Frame. The only game is Fatal Frame. And even then, that's on the PS3 store. And I mean, there's a remake on the way as well, too. But once the PS3 store is gone, like, that's it. Season 3 is only No More Heroes and Parasite Eve. And same thing with Parasite Eve. If PS3 store closes down, you can't get it no more. Season 4, it's the same situation. There's no games that we, like, so far, all the games that we have confirmed for, like, hey, we're going to play this next season. It's only 2 games that you can play. And out of all the games, for reference, we have 75 games on a giant ass list of games that we're like, hey, we'll consider this one. This one may be good. Only 14 games you can buy legally.
Well, I mean, we have some of those games.
Yeah, I mean, you have to buy them like aftermarket, but there's
yeah.
no way for you to, for example, if
buy it new, like a digital copy.
Yeah. Okay. So, for example, if for some reason, like ET, some dude gathers up all the copies of Eternal Poison and burns them all to a crisp, there's nothing we can do. If nobody backed up that game, like, there's no way for you to legally own any of these games. And I thought that was so interesting because we've played a lot of fucking games. And, like, just thinking about, like, the process of us buying the games and how that, like, it's kind of crazy to me to think about the fact that one of these days, all these games behind us are going to rot.
Right.
And we're not going to be able to play them no more unless they were digital.
Yeah, disc rot.
Yeah, disc rot, cartridges breaking from dust and mold. There's nothing stopping it. And it's kind of a sad fate. Because there's a lot of games like Crimson Tears. Stolen.
Well, the same thing with our consoles, right? Like, those are gonna... I mean, I just had to buy a second PS2.
Oh, yeah, I'm on my third PS2, so...
So it's just like, obviously, they're not making those anymore. They're probably gonna get more expensive as time goes on. Like, we better learn how to fix a PS2 because at some point, And honestly, dude, the new one that I fucking got the other day, I was pressing the power button and it was just like dying on me. And now I'm like, did I fucking...
Bro, for mine, the fucking display is like loose as fuck. It's like a hoe, bro. Like, this shit, like, I can't move my like, if I move my PlayStation 2 sometimes, like, I'll be like, wait, where did my display go? And I have to go back there and like jerry rig it. Like, I have to watch out for like certain cables over here because if I mess up like moving one cable, it'll move it and knock it out of place, and then sometimes I'll get lost back there in a sea of cables and dust.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So we're fucked.
Yeah, we're basically fucked. Like essentially, that's what this is saying, is we're fucked.
This show will be a record of those games that people can't even play, and we're saying, yeah, go buy this game. It's a great to add to your collection.
Go buy this game. That's only going to skyrocket in price as it gets harder and harder to play this game naturally. Like the Xbox Live video, a lot of comments, people were stating, "Oh, my favorite game is this game," but those games weren't actually Xbox Live Arcade games. They were Xbox Live Arcade indie games, which was a separate like or Xbox Live Arcade for Xbox Live Arcade games kind of sort of dig. Whereas amateur people, they just pay a certain amount of money, put their games up on Xbox Live. All those games are gone. The only thing that we have is like one dude decided one day before it like got delisted to just do a scroll through, not a playthrough, but just a scroll through of all the titles that's on the game. But that doesn't include all the games that got delisted before, all the games that got delisted in between or got published afterwards. Like there's nothing, there's no record. There's no way we can play it. There's certain games on there that there's no gameplay for that people have fond memories of that nobody will just know about. And that shit's kind of scary to think about.
I mean, games have come, I mean, what, 50? It's been about 50 years of games.
Yeah, the NES is 40 years old today.
The NES?
Yeah, the NES is 40 years old at the time of recording this today.
Yeah, and like, if you think about it, there was no way to conserve a lot of things in that way back then, you know, with cartridges, and it's like they didn't have a sense or the technology to be like, we should probably start fucking saving or backing up or creating some sort of like, yeah, like there was no thought of this. And now that games are kind of like film, like early days of film, a lot of it is just lost.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's what
Disney.
The study does mention that, where it says that there's more games in danger of being lost than silent films,
which is insane too. I mean, this is saying in danger of being lost or will be lost. Like these are already essentially as time moves forward. That's just gonna happen.
Yeah, because there's no legal way to do it. Like you could, I mean, of course, you could always pirate. I feel like every game has a ROM dump on some. You know what website you go to get your ROMs. Like everybody has their site and everybody has their games. You can get them, but for certain like consoles, like I tried myself personally before Bomb Rush Cyberpunk came out to emulate Jet Set Radio Future. It doesn't work. The emulator for Xbox just isn't up there like Dolphin or Wii or PSP and stuff like that, Game Boy. Like I can't just up and download a Xbox game and an Xbox emulator and play it flawlessly like I could any other game. And what about the games like that are specific to the Ouya? You know what I'm saying?
Ouya exclusives?
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? What if somebody's like, I really fuck with that game, but they can't play it no more because Ouya's delisted. How many people had a Ouya? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How am I going to be able to get that game?
Nigga, that's insane when you think about it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That eventually... Hold on, let me turn it around real quick. That eventually Lair on PS3 will be lost to time. Once all the disc fucking rot for Lair, you won't be able to use the 6-axis controller to control at 15 frames per second no more.
Yeah, what is the actual like degradation period for?
That's a great question.
Discs? Like how long before that starts to kick in? Like I don't.
That's a great question because a lot of people always say that like, oh, I got disc rot, but I always feel like that's from the people that like have been collecting for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like they've moved them, they've been in boxes, they've been in storage, self-storages sometimes. Like I feel like a lot of
temperature
those people
has fucked with them. Yeah.
What is the average? Yeah, hold on. They not gonna let me know nothing. They talking about oxygen and sulfate rates and shit. $50 to 100 years.
Oh, we're good. No. We'll be dead.
I'll be fucking dead. I don't care. Fuck this conversation. Move on.
I guess I couldn't pass on our collection to my son. I wouldn't be able to do that because some of them wouldn't work.
Yeah. I think about that a lot because that's my idea is once I'm done, I can be like, here, son, you can enter the man cave and you can play whatever you like. You're mature enough. Play whatever you like. Just make sure you put it back in a fucking case.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's going to be scary when he's like, oh man, I can't wait to play Persona 3 FES on PlayStation 2. The fucking PlayStation 2 doesn't work, or the fucking disc is rotting or some shit. Like,
yeah. Well, there's going to be a remake of some of these. But what's interesting too is like, Mankind is pretty they're pretty like ingenious. So like I feel like at some point in the next, we'll say 20 years, there's gonna be someone to come up with some way for you to be like able to copy a disc or something and like renew it, or so there's gonna be something. Someone's always doing it. Yeah, someone will.
And there already is like consoles now that have like reprint cartridges.
Right.
Like consoles that are made specifically where it's like, oh, this is the Genesis, NES, SNES, Master System all built into one. You can just put whatever cartridge in and it'll automatically switch to whatever console, like built in like hardware specific specifications. So you don't have to worry about going to fucking PlayStation or eBay to get a broken PlayStation 2. Somebody will just have one pre-built or something like that.
So I don't know if you remember this, but there used to be this thing where you could take your old VHS like home tapes, like home movies that you had like on a VHS camcorder. You could take those to like a shop, like a pharmacy, and there would be like a conversion service, a transfer service.
They would
that. Put it onto like. So I feel like at some point we're gonna be old and it's gonna be like, I'm gonna take all my fucking PS2 games and get them converted to this new format. For safe, you know what I mean? And then we just keep the boxes and we're good.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, the main thing that the study was talking about was just that like there's no way, at least to archive it as well too, because of copyright laws. Yeah. Imagine like they use the idea of imagine if the Beatles' Abbey Road, you could only listen to it on cassette, like when it first came out. You couldn't listen to it on vinyl. You couldn't listen to it on CD. You couldn't listen to it on DVD, MP3. That's the only way that you had it legally. And you couldn't support the artist. You couldn't support anything. You couldn't, if you didn't buy your cassette and your ugly ass cassette player, that's it. But it's like movies. They get re-releases, remasters, DVDs. Yeah. And I mean, gaming has moved towards a lot more remasters than we have been back in the day, and collections like the Mega Man Battle Network collection that nobody thought was ever going to be released is released, compiling all those games. Those are going to come out more often, of course, in the future. But like certain games, like they specifically state Yakuza, like Yakuza PS2 is in danger of being lost because they did technically remake Yakuza, but it's a completely different game. It's not the same game.
Right.
So the original Yakuza Kiwami, that'll go on to live forever. People will know that as Yakuza 1, but nobody will remember the old weird PlayStation 2 fixed camera Yakuza back in the day and shit like that. I think that's a interesting dichotomy of, well, you're right. Yeah, we should remaster more games, but at the same time, no, we should just make backwards compatible more accessible.
Yeah, I mean, in some way to like back them up, because there will be a lot of remakes, but the originals still have a different charm, a different feel,
Yeah, and especially it feels good, especially doing this podcast. It does feel good to just sit down and, oh, apparently Blu-ray has a smaller lifespan. Oh, it only has 20 to 50 years. But anyway, by that time they'll have Red Ray or whatever the fuck. But yeah, it feels nice to play the game on the original console. It feels nice to have that controller, that hardware, that ideas. Because you tried playing Musashi on a PlayStation 3. That shit did not work. I tried.
Which is kind of sad when I think that is, because we play some of these games, but I mean, there's not a huge guarantee we're gonna even go back to some of these.
Yeah, like Batman and Terminator, both my discs are so broken that I had to emulate them for the podcast.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's okay because I legally own the game. But
yeah, I want to get a disc buffer.
Me too.
Get one of them.
I'm gonna give me a resurfacer. I'm gonna figure this shit out, bro.
Yeah, like I want to. Yeah, there's a couple discs because from what I found out recently that like buffing it actually does help. Like I don't know why I just thought it was like wiping away whatever, but like it does because there's like a coat on top of, or I guess depending on what side of the disc you're talking about, there's a coat, right?
Yeah,
And that coat can get scratched, and
you
but
just
that
gotta
doesn't mean
buff
the
out the
disc is
coat.
itself. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, exactly. And then the data still is like really like within that coat. So unless it's like a really deep fucking scratch, it's still
You're good.
salvageable. So that was fascinating. I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's fucking crazy.
yeah. Well,
Um,
18% of back of the rack titles will be in danger of being lost. So
so
buy them up
grab
as you
them while they're
can.
hot.
Grab them
Yeah.
all. When we say pick up this game, pick up this fucking game.
Get them while they're hot. All right. Let's see. We got a couple of questions here. Let's do that last one. What? So, me and Elise were talking about chemistry between people and what makes good chemistry. And she asked me, she's like, "Do you think you and Sondi have good chemistry?" Because I think someone said I think it was a comment that we had on one of our videos. They were like, "Oh yeah, good chemistry, great fucking content, blah 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 blah." And I was like, "No, we don't." But my main point was because chemistry, I feel like, is so it's hard to really build good chemistry with someone that you've not met in person, because there's like with these videos, there's that delay that we have.
Yeah.
There's an awkward delay of like, and you don't have that when you meet somebody in person and like get to talk and like get the
Chill
like you're
out.
standing there or sitting down and like it's different like this. So it's hard for me to judge how good the chemistry is. I mean, there's obviously a
Yeah.
natural like a natural boost, which I feel like we would have good
Yeah. The
chemistry,
fact we've
but
been doing this shit for almost 3 years. I mean,
yeah, right.
yeah.
But I was just like, it's hard to say because I feel like chemistry really is about your physical interaction with someone, not like touching them, but like you in the same space,
Yeah.
and that's when you can really tell like how does the conversation keep going and what are the jokes like and what like is there any like weird pauses because of XYZ or like chemistry, like do you guys get each other and like I don't know. So
Yeah. Because I really don't notice our chemistry until like post production. Like when we're actually
when we're
editing the
editing,
podcast and I'm looking through it, I'm like, okay, I can see certain moments and shit like that.
right?
It's a very
Yeah.
infamous one, but but that's how it is. You know what I'm saying? I can agree with you on
So
that.
so
That
like if you're
we
thinking about like let's say I think about we'll take it back to the HPMP podcast. There's a lot of them, but there's maybe like four that are always there, right?
right
And they each kind of bring something new, but there's if you take out one of them, I've noticed that the chemistry does start to sort of crumble
wane
in
a
some
little bit.
way.
It feels more
Yeah.
like you're just listening to a Discord call more than you're
Yeah.
listening to a podcast. I know exactly what you mean because there was, I think it was the Forspoken episode
Hmm.
or this episode after that where I was like, they're all over the place right here. They ain't got it together. But then there's other
Right.
episodes you listen to, you're like, wow, they was on top of shit this episode. That's just
Yeah.
how it is. You know what I'm saying? I listen to a couple podcasts like consistently, and there are a couple episodes where like main one that I listen to where I'm like, they're hit or miss is Brilliant Idiots.
Okay.
It's
What makes their chemistry like bad?
I mean, because it's Andrew Schultz, Charlemagne the God. They're both very eccentric. Yeah, they're
Oh,
both very eccentric,
yeah.
like people. But like sometimes, because it's
What
not
is it
just
called?
Brilliant Idiots.
Brilliant. Okay.
Because it's not just them, you know what I'm saying? It's not just them going off riffing against each other. There's also like, there's their producer, there's their engineer, there's their his assistant, and you know what I'm saying? Like all these
Oh,
other
okay.
people that like extraneously like come in that are like essentially part of the podcast, but they're not like in the podcast and they like
Right.
hop in and then it just like sometimes it throws shit off a loop because it's like, well, okay. Like a good example I will show you is they did a latest episode where it was one of the people, I guess, one of Charlemagne's like folks. They hopped on the podcast, and like the whole podcast, they talked about fucking DJ Academics, and you could tell that like Charlemagne's like, all right, and then you can also tell that like Andrew's like, I'm gonna just have fun with this. I'm gonna just keep going. I'm gonna just keep amping it. Like he's yelling. He's like doing the most. Like you could tell he's like, I need to be on comedian mode now because the content's not rolling. You can tell it, and I think about that sometimes too. With us, at least with us, we both have a very similar thought process. So it makes it a lot easier to be like, because a lot of times we finish each other's sentences in our head and we go, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. So,
well, because I think about it often and I'm like, I was telling Elise, I was like, I think that Sondi is the funny, quippy guy, you know? Funny enough, in real life.
You're saying I'm the good cop and you're the bad cop? Is that what you're saying?
In some sense. But in real life, I've always been typically like the funny and quippy like person.
Yeah,
like
and I'm usually the Stark person, you know what I'm saying? So that's weird. But on podcasts, we're the opposites. And
yeah, you're right. Like it's super weird because like you take that role and I'm usually not like I don't take a back seat, but I like am more straight because I feel like it's harder to joke for me because of my like so much of how I joke and deliver is based on like cues of people physically in my space.
Yeah.
Where I can see like, oh shit.
You're like, nigga, your leg twitching? What's wrong with you?
Like you can kind of get like a feel of those things, right? But like this, I'm just like I don't have any jokes. I can't.
Yeah, you don't even know my legs are crisscross right now, do you?
So like things like that where I'm like, yeah, the roles are definitely switched. So yeah, I don't know, that just kind of got me thinking about chemistry with people via podcasts and stuff. And I listened to Sacred Symbols, which is a PlayStation podcast, and there was two guests. There's two people that hosted it at first. There was a dude named Colin and then another one named Chris Raygun. And Colin is like very much the like structured, organized, like more thoughtful person. And then Chris is just very like gotta fit a joke in here, very like whatever about things, like a little bit more lighthearted.
I gotta keep the entertainment going a little bit.
Yeah,
type person.
The dynamic made sense, but I also feel like their chemistry was never particularly good. Like it never felt like they were friends to me.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's what chemistry is. It's like, oh yeah, you could tell that they're friends. And I think maybe that's where people get
because it rolls off the tongue easier when you have chemistry. I feel like we have good chemistry because sometimes I can be the serious person and you'll be the jokey person. There's been a couple of times you've been the even in this podcast, even in this episode.
That's true.
There's a couple of times you've been the jokey person. So
yeah. No,
we bounce off each other based on the situation and stuff like that. But we also like to have deep ass conversations. We be typing paragraphs to each other, bro. I don't even do that for my wife, bro. So so we really be having a whole like essays back and forth, like talking in the fucking text about like just stupid shit. We'll be talking about fucking hot dogs. You'd be like, no, but sometimes you gotta grill it a little bit too black and then it'll get like this. And we just be talking, bro.
I think my answer was definitely just like, I don't know if we had good chemistry, but you're right, because I do feel like you're my friend and I feel like we do have a lot of good back and forth. And I forget sometimes that, like, I forget my own age sometimes when I'm with you, and I feel like I forget
I'd be
your
forgetting
age.
That you old as fuck. I'd be like, damn, this nigga like 28 for real.
Which I think is like that's kind of like a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that, I'm not constantly thinking like, oh, he's fucking too young, like he wouldn't know, but like
he's
I feel like you're within my I feel like you're within my age, or at least like wise enough and mature enough that we match each other's like energy on that level. Yeah, you know. But yeah, so I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
I'm about to cry, bro. This shit is so beautiful, bro.
And it is crazy how much we do talk, because even my own best friend that used to live with me at this place, we don't even we just send each other like, you know, videos on Instagram, but like you and me have talked almost every day for 2 years.
That's true. Because it do be hitting us sometimes where like we don't hit each other up. Like it'll be like a 2-day period and we like
but I think about it. Yeah. I think about it too. So I'm not like at the end of it, like if it's a full day that we haven't said anything to, I'm like,
somebody will send some shit at like 10 p.m. and be like, All right, bro. You're just making sure you good, bro.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Other person
yeah.
messages back like 5 minutes later, like, yeah, bro, I'm good. Okay, I'm just
Yeah. It's so interesting the way that works, but it's so I'm like, damn, no, like, yeah, you're probably yeah, like my closest, I would say, closest and like best friend up to this point, simply because we're constantly talking. I
yeah,
mean, not that not that you you always have to be in some sort of communication with your closest or best friend, but we know so much about each other, and yet we've never even like physically met in person.
yeah. It do
You
feel
know,
weird. I know what you
like it's
mean.
just like it's so, and we've like we like share this hobby, and like we both like music, and it's just kind of wild like how much of that time has been spent talking to you through a screen for is it 2 or 3 years? I don't even know anymore. How long have
When
we
the fuck
been?
do we start this shit, bro? I don't know, bro. Hold on.
Because we also stopped for a year, so I
Yeah,
guess
because we did. Yeah, so technically that does put like a
3 years
big
then,
hamper in like a lot of it. But yeah, it was essentially like 3 years. Like we
which
should
is
be on season 4 right now.
yeah, we should
Like
be.
we should be
Yeah.
on like episode 3 of season 4, technically.
Yep. Yeah.
But shit happens. You know,
I don't even know
life
how that
happens,
worked out,
bro. You know what I'm saying? Shit break,
but
niggas die. Shit happen,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta just take a step back.
All right, so next question. Let's do one more and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
I think I've sort of talked about this before, but are video games ultimately a waste of your inherent talent? And should we be expected to play every game?
Are video games a waste of our talent?
Yeah, our inherent talent. So like I think about this because I'm 30, and my 20s I was playing a lot of games. So I used to work at this place where I had like a rotating schedule. I would work 3 12-hour shifts, and then I would have like 2 days off, and then work another 2 days, and then have 3 days off. So it was like that thing. So what I would do is I would go out one day, and then hang out with people the next, and then that third day I would just fucking spend on video games. And sometimes I would just spend all 3 days on video games if it was like a new launch, you know. And I always think back, I'm like, man, I could have learned how
A
to
skill.
draw. Yeah, I could have learned I could have gotten more comfortable with,
I could have learned a language or some shit.
FL Studio. I could have done, like, there's so many things. I'm like, damn.
I don't
But
know
I
about
fucking
that because,
so
to be fair, if it wasn't for video games, I wouldn't have found out a lot of the talents that I had. Because as a kid, I used to draw because of video games. I used to draw like Sonic characters and shit.
mhm.
Then, because of video games like DJ Hero, I started making DJing. So I started doing that. I started making music because of video games. So like I started doing that. Making
Okay.
YouTube videos because of video games. Like every skill that I have is kind of correlated to video games. So I
Right.
never really thought of it as like I'm wasting my time or talent, because if it
Right.
wasn't for
Right.
video games, there's a lot of music. Like I probably would be like one of those niggas that listen to like, bruh, somebody called it like pain music. Like that fucking, it's the piano that ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, and then like the fucking 808s drop, and then the nigga just start rapping like about Harmon Bros. Like that pain music. I would just probably listen to nothing but that and like Lil Durk and like Future. I would not
Okay.
like listen to Disclosure and Little Dragon or fucking listen to
Oh. Okay.
techno and jungle because of the sounds that I was hearing playing video games and playing DJ Hero and shit like that, because it expanded my mind. Because
Yeah.
of seeing so much shit, I was able to go, oh, this is inspired by this, so let me go watch this, and then that led me to a rabbit hole. So a lot of my shit is low-key because of video games. I wouldn't be such a diverse person that I am today. But we should not play every game. I can say that with a
So
fact.
that is interesting, because that might be a difference between our maybe talents and how we I guess discovered things. But yeah, video games for me have played like a similar role to like what you're talking about, where it was like almost inherent to my talent, or to things that awakened my tastes and
Right.
talents. Specifically with like a game like, let's say, my taste in music with Musashi, or the cinematic approach in Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, so I feel like with my talents, like wanting to, like, I've always wanted to draw, dude, and I don't know if I told you this, but like when I was working, I had this whole schedule where I would basically go home and draw for like an hour straight, do all these exercises on YouTube, and I was getting good. So yeah, I was doing that like every day for like 3 4 months, and it was like visual improvement. And I don't know why I stopped, but like I could have been fucking drawing some like anime like legit. Like I could have had that skill.
Yeah, I was the same
and
way. I was
and
I
I
was
stopped. I was like 21 maybe, maybe a little bit younger.
I was the same way. My friend, he's still a drawer. He animates. He does all that shit now. He does like really good YouTube videos on like anime and shit like that. But I I just stopped drawing after a time because in eighth grade was when I stopped drawing because I started
Someone makes
focusing on DJing and music and stuff like
mm,
that. And I would say my most successful times making music was the times when I would come home and just do nothing but FL Studio from the time that I finished like my homework, like ninth grade, the time I finished my homework to the time like 'cause my dad would come in my room and play 2K. So he would just come in the room and I would just be fucking doing house music or doing or DJing, just
right.
practicing nonstop. And from like ninth to 10th grade, then I would say the second time was now. Because we're kind of in the zone. Like every time we edit, there's a spot you're gonna see in No More Heroes that it's such a small little spot of like editing that I was like, oh, that's so cool, and I just
I'm
feel like
curious
I'm
to
in
see what
that
it is.
bucket. It's such a small little thing. It's like there's a point where I like do the keys for the No More Heroes melody, and I play
Yeah.
the melody to go with the keys. I was like, oh my god, it's so cute.
Yeah, I'll have to peep it. But
But
um so
yeah,
like yeah, that's one thing, but like, I want to be a filmmaker, so I read a lot of books when I was in my 20s and a lot about filmmaking. But yeah, I could have been doing more with that. And like now I feel like I'm this age and I feel like I mean it's better late than never to start this kind of thing. I want to pursue that dream. And so like I have been to some degree, especially like with doing YouTube, it's sort of helped me kind of get more comfortable with certain things. Um but yeah, I don't know. I feel like a late bloomer is what it is. And so I think about like, well, where did all my time go? And it's like I spent a lot just playing bullshit video games sometimes. Like
yeah.
I have like 120 hours in like this game or that game, and I'm just like, damn, I could have really put that towards something, that would have really, helped. But
Yeah, I can
that's
definitely
yeah.
feel you on that because as I go to my Steam right now and let's sort by hours played, and this is just on Steam, I have 300 hours in PUBG, 200 hours in Brawlhalla, 150 hours in Risk of Rain, Master Duel, Elder Scrolls, Nuclear
Yeah.
Throne. Like, that's a lot of hours I could have spent really perfecting my craft. Like, now, like, I wasn't thinking about doing shit like, let me go to YouTube and look up how to do this chord progression, or
Yeah.
let me go to YouTube, or let me go read a book, let me go learn guitar, let me go like you said, let me go watch some YouTube videos on drawing, and let me just spend an hour and just
Yeah.
learn to draw. Like the wherewithal that I have now about education as opposed to when I was being rebellious to education
Right.
would have spent me a lot more time if I wasn't spending 300 hours playing PUBG.
Yeah.
Because I would
That's
play,
yeah,
I would
that's
play PUBG, lose a game, and be like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna make a shitty ass beat with a sample flip," instead of
yeah.
let me learn how to
Making
play piano so I can make a flip or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And then I think it varies from person to person. I've always believed in myself to a certain degree. Like I've been instilled this feeling that I could accomplish not anything that I wanted, but accomplish like a certain amount, right? That I
Right.
could be that I've always had this idea of myself that I could like do something big or like be known for something. Maybe not like fucking Steven Spielberg or fucking,
But you could at
like
least
a
have a
big
Wikipedia page type shit.
yeah, I've always felt that way about myself. And so and people have told me that too. And I just feel like sometimes feel like I've squandered the potential, which is like it's kind of sad to admit, but it's just like fuck. I'm
No, that's
going
not.
on.
That's perfectly acceptable to admit. That's okay.
You think
Because
so?
yeah, because also I feel like there's never really a time. Because when you hit, you hit. It's just like the lottery. You know what I'm saying? It's like a scam. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you
Yeah.
hit, you hit. If you started
And
playing at 18 every day and you 56 and you hit, you fucking hit. It just might have
yeah.
took you 46 years to hit, but you did it.
And that's like the other like side of the coin where I'm like, well, there's people who are just fine playing games for 100 hours and they don't really aspire to be anything else. And sometimes I feel it's hard for me to enjoy spending my time. Like when I know that I've earned it, like, okay, I edited this, worked a little bit on this script, went out and did this shoot. Now I'm home.
Did some
And
yard work. I'm cool.
yeah,
And
did
yeah,
some, yeah. And sometimes it's hard for me to even be like, well, now it's time to relax. I'm like, no, that was your whole mentality when you were in your 20s, where like you would do all
go
this
play a
stuff and then,
game.
yeah, and then just sit down and be like, well, I just like, it's my time to relax.
Yeah,
And now I'm just like, I just feel, I don't know.
I feel that same
I,
struggle. Like, because like you said, you do everything that you need to do, like responsibility wise, and
yeah.
then you play a game. Instead, you could be making a beat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You could be
This is why I like our like whole show, like our whole thing here, because like we're putting something out there, we're creating content. It's a skill we're developing, podcasting, writing, and being more critical about video games. It is a skill, so I don't feel like the back of the rack game is like a waste. But when I want to do my own thing, I'm like, well, I because like you can get good at a game, right? You can get really good at a game, but those skills aren't going to transfer to anything else really. And if
right.
you
I
don't go
could be
back to
good
that
at DJ
game,
Hero or Beat Mania, but I'm not gonna.
you're not gonna like unless you're gonna go to like the championship and like try to win like 100 grand or something. But like
Yeah, like it's nothing
you
that
know,
can really. It can't. Well, no, I'll rephrase that because DJ Hero did teach me some DJing skills that some niggas don't know, and I be doing it, and people be like, "Hey, how you do that?" And I'm like, what do you
DJ
mean? This is
Hero,
pretty basic. And they're like, no,
yeah,
bro. Like, oh, what the fuck did you do? So there is some semblance to it. You know what I'm saying?
right, yeah. Well, DJ Hero or like something like maybe Rock Band,
Yeah,
you
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 kind
get
of
maybe a sense of rhythm. Yeah, you kind of
yeah.
get the idea of like. But let's say your favorite game, let fucking you've put 100 hours into Devil May Cry 5, you know, and it's just like
Yeah, you can't take that
yeah, it's just like well, unless you're
and
gonna
put
always
it
play that game forever, you're not gonna really do anything else with
right.
that skill.
That's true.
But
That's true.
it also just depends on the person. There's people that I've talked to about this. They're just like, no, I mean, I'm fine. Like, I'm fine with my job. I'm getting paid well, and this is how I want to spend my time. And I don't think that I've wasted my time. I can just enjoy it, spending hundreds of hours in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, whatever. And I'm just like, God, I feel
How?
like I
How?
lost that. I feel like I used to be like, yeah, cool. I had this mentality when I was in my 20s that I would have all this time.
And now
They're
you
like,
don't have
oh,
all this time because now you're thinking you're like, okay, once I like next step, like you're thinking about next same thing as me, like your 5 year plan, you have it mapped out,
right,
and you're like, okay,
yeah,
I know where I'm going to be in 5 years, and in five
right,
years, I'm not going to have that time. In 5 years,
right,
I'm going to be a
exactly,
father. I'm going to be a homeowner. Like it's going to be like a lot of shit that I have to handle
yeah.
as a man of the house that I'm not going to be able to have that time to be like I'm gonna just chill, or I'm gonna go to this open mic every Friday and Thursday, or because that's what I used to do when I was 18. I would go to Boston, go to New York. We going to Richmond this week. I used to go to Richmond all the fucking time for open mics for no reason, just to perform. I'm paying a nigga $50 to sit there and perform in a crowd of like 20 niggas, but I had the ability, the luxury to do that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because I was
right.
young, but now I can't just up and pay $50 and drive to Richmond. My wife would think I'm cheating on her. It's just
Yeah,
how it
and
is, you know.
no, that's exactly like yeah, you're like getting the point, and that's like maybe it's not a waste of time. Like if you're enjoying your time with something, everybody deserves some free time to do whatever they want, to decompress, to like just kick back. But there comes a point sometimes I think of like how much time have I done that, and how much like now it's go time. Now I have to buy a
Right.
house soon. Now I have to get married soon. Now I need to, put more into my filmmaking now. Now like to set these things up now because I didn't do enough when I was, in my 20s where now I feel like I'm in a rush, and now it's hard for me to sit down and enjoy a game because all these things are on my mind, and I'm like, fuck, I could be fucking, looking for a gig or something. I could be working on a beat, that might, hit and, get more subscribers to, our channel. I could be, creating more scripts, practice. Like, there's so much I could be doing. I could be networking. I don't really have. So it's so hard just to like sit down and sometimes just be. That's why, like, when you were like, yeah, like I beat Silent Hill, I was like, damn, I wish.
Yeah,
like, I wish I could sit down and just be
but
like, I'm just gonna.
That's when I had, and like you said, I had an off day, and I said it on Monday. I was like, no matter what, I'm playing, doing nothing on Friday. I'm sitting here, I'm playing the game, I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I'm not doing nothing until I beat this game. I'm not leaving the house, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
And even now, my wife, they're all hanging out at some fucking bar or some shit, and they're like, hey, pull up, and I'm like, not till I finish this podcast. If I don't pull up, I don't pull up. I don't feel that way. Because, I mean, I do feel that way sometimes, like, making, like, the back of the rack beat from Musashi. Mm-hmm. I've never done no shit like that. Like, I was, like, driven. But I think that's because both of us are creatively minded. Like, we both have the same interests. We both like writing. We both make music. We both like video games. We both like the style of content that we make. We both are on the same wavelength. So we push each other a lot. Like, I always ask you, hey, bro, can you look at before I like record, I go, hey, bro, can you look at my script? Just look through it. Just be my editor for a second. Just look through, see if this looks good. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I might disagree with you on some stuff and give you some pushback and be like, well, no, I thought about it this way. I thought about it this way. But you'll be like, hey, but what about this? But that allows us to.
I feel like that's never happened.
That's definitely happened, bro. With the new, with the new Sondi select where you were like, yeah, but I mean, hey, if that's what you wanted. That's what
oh, wait. Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, but see, that's what I'm saying with text messages. That's, tone I guess can be taken out of context and shit like that. But, but
okay.
You're like, yeah, so you didn't fuck with that, right?
I'm just trying to think. I'm like, I don't remember ever like being like, oh, he didn't like that change. Or yeah, I don't know. Maybe. No. I don't know.
Maybe. And you think about that, and I'm like, well, you can't really judge your success. I've learned that a lot, especially with the proximity that I have to people that are like famous now. That I kind of can't put myself in that shoe of like success, because to me, I was my most successful at 19 when I was DJing the show every week and performing and had my dreads hanging out and all this bullshit. That was my most successful. That was not successful at all. To me now, in hindsight, I'm like, I didn't market, I didn't network, I didn't like, when I dropped my EPs, I think I got like 10 downloads.
Yeah.
Like, compared to the number of followers I had for the antics and all the other shit that I was doing on social media to try to get niggas to fuck with me. Like, if I could go back in time now, I would do shit how I understand it now. But you don't have that know-how. Like, if you was to make films then, you would look back at those films and be like, these are some shit.
Right.
But now that you have you have experience, you have ideas, you can use this YouTube channel to experiment with certain styles and ideas that you may have that you don't want to do into a full-fledged, spend a couple $1,000s to make this into a short film. You can just do it here, back of the rack. That's kind of what I'm doing with my videos, where I'm like, at first I was like, I want to do reviews. Then I'm like, I don't want to do reviews. I just want to just talk about a genre. Then I was like, I don't really want to talk about a genre. I just want to talk about shit I remember. And it's like, next week I might not want to talk about shit I remember. I might want to talk about coins and games or some shit.
That's like a big part of it too. Like, one of the things I think about is like, accomplishments or legacies, right? And I think about it, I'm like, this is Back of the Rack might be the biggest thing that we've done.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like this, establishing this and keeping it going, and it's still growing, and I feel like the Back of the Rack brand visually and there's a strong brand to it, and I feel like this is just like the biggest thing that I've done, where it's like we have a schedule, we were committed, we got a whole thing going,
and that'll keep you disciplined, because once we move on to, because like this status check, some new shit that we working on, Bendez Ponders, some new shit we working on, the way that we've revamped every season we revamp the way that the show fucking works. Like eventually it's hitting now, and like you said, you say it every episode. It's the fuel that keeps us going, and I'm so serious when I say every time I log on that YouTube studio and I see a new comment or that little green thing, I go, I gotta go harder. I gotta go harder, and it's true. And this is what this is for, bro. We can experiment creatively, like the beats. We can experiment making short films. We can experiment making big scripts. We can experiment making playthroughs. We literally have. I could drop the Raccoon City playthrough right now. I could chop that bitch out and drop it on the channel right now just to see how it goes, because we have that ability to experiment. And that's the best part about this. As friends, we can push each other. We both are creative. I could be like, hey, bro, that video you did was fucked up.
I didn't like that. I didn't like
that shit.
Take it down. Take it down right now.
Nigga.
Yeah. No, that's a good way of looking at it for sure. I think I needed that like perspective. I really do feel this sense of like things have to happen now. Like I feel I'm a very patient person, like very patient. I've all of a sudden lost that, and I'm like, oh fuck, I need to get this done. I need to do this now, and like I'm running out of time. Like I don't want to be 40 and be like, oh, I still haven't done this. Like I didn't even try, you know, or like I'm still, you know what I mean? Like I'm still struggling to do this. Like I didn't.
You know what broke the mold on that? The fact that I was at my lowest point in life. I'd say my second lowest point in life. Cause I was depressed for a while back when I was like 18, but that break in between like seasons, like just even having to write the message in the Discord saying like, hey, shit not looking too good for me right now, bro, but stay with us. And it's only 3 people in the Discord for real. And the fact that we came back and we had the biggest episode, the biggest growth, biggest everything's just flowing the way that we thought it was gonna flow before, and it's doing exactly that. 9 months later, that's the fuel. Like I'm saying, that's the fuel to keep me going, because I was the same way, where I was like, bro, I should have spent if I knew all the shit I knew now when I was 18, I would be the biggest rapper in the world right now type shit, biggest producer in the world type shit, biggest YouTuber in the world type shit.
Yeah.
None of that shit matters, because when I hit, I'm a hit.
That break really was a surprise, especially that Musashi is not even like, I couldn't find anything on that
I thought
game.
Musashi was going to get 40 plays, bro.
I thought, same thing. I was like, this is
ain't no way this shit gonna get this much love.
But even, I mean, in your video, like, did really good too, so it's just like, there's an appetite. And I think I worry too, just with YouTube being
finicky as it is.
Well, just that, like, you know, there's so many YouTubers now, right? And there's only going to be more. Not everybody commits and continues, you know, but things might start to change. Like I think about like how maybe an idea like this maybe would have, like there maybe would have been a point where this would have took off more, you know. And now
earlier, like if we did this in like 2019.
Yeah. Like, you know, and now like so many people do, maybe not exactly what we do, but like, you know, gaming podcasts and all this. So I wonder like, okay, what's the next shift going to be? Like, are people still going to always like video essays? You know, are people
because that's really big right now. But back in the day, it was like, skits and
exactly.
And pranks.
So like, what's like the newest wave to like, you know, like what's going to shift? It's going to be, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah.
And I guess no one will know, but like,
yeah. Because that's what I think about the most. Like, to be more transparent with you guys, we have this whole document called the Master System that I changed the name to the schedule, but I should change back to the Master System. And
yeah, you should.
I made this. It has like a calendar, so we know like, okay, this is dropping this day. It's got all of our candidates. It's got Back of the Rack Digital, which we only did one of, but it has a bunch of candidates. It's got all my Sondi selects of Bendez and stuff, and then like side videos. And then I look at that and I think about like, it's a lot of video ideas, but then it's also like, what if I don't want to do a video essay for this video? What if I want to do, like, for example, on this list, we have sexuality in gaming. What if I wanted to do like a cut video where I get a bunch of women and then show them a bunch of images and have them react to certain sexual themes in games and their ideas and talk about it and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? What if that's the idea I have for the video? You never know.
Right.
But do we have the luxury of that?
That'd be a good idea to do like a cut video like that. Like get some of your homies or something and just like do like a whole round table or be like, this character, what, you know what I mean? What is this? Or like do something like that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, see, look at this spitballing right here.
All right, guys, we really appreciate it. Thank you for watching us. It really does mean a lot. This video is probably a bit longer than we wanted it to be, but this is our first status check, and we hadn't done something like this in at least a couple months, so we were catching up on a lot of things. But thanks for sticking around. If you like this kind of video, definitely like it, share it. Check out the normal Back of the Rack episodes. By this time, we'll probably have a couple episodes out for season 3. And there's also, I'm sure by now, there's probably at least 4 pieces of music, 6 pieces of music that we might have. Check those out and share those. Maybe, put it on your TikTok, do a little, thing to it.
Do a little Dougie to it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like maybe if you're an e-boy, maybe do a little like...
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Or, do whatever. And then also we have Sondi Selects and we have Bendez Ponders, where we just talk philosophically about things or nostalgically about things in a more scripted way. Those are shorter, obviously non-podcast videos. But yeah, hit us up on Discord. You know where that's at. Yeah, we have a TikTok as well, Back of the Rack, same as.
Hit us up on Twitter. We tweet every
Twitter,
4 days.
And then also Instagram, obviously. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next status checks. Maybe we'll do a segment next time where maybe we can get some questions in from the comments on the video or something. And that would be interesting because we did just come up with some questions towards the end here. But maybe you guys have questions for us on how we deal with certain things in games or in life, or how we think about certain aspects of media just in general, So yeah, let us know. And thank you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and goodbye.
Ciao.